What you think about when you're born into a fire? Let them burn it out. Sell them to the richest buyer. They wanna let the world decay. They tell us lies and fade away, fade away. We feel betrayed. We were raised to lose the race. Wake at the back of the pack, kill it anyway. Listen up now, because we're never dropping out. Beat the odds, beat the big house. The brains are bigger than the doubt. We've been thinking for ourselves, never let the truth fade away. This is bigger than ourselves, we won't let the world burn away, burn away. We feel betrayed. We were raised to lose the race. Wake at the back of the pack, kill it anyway. To blame, haters face the world's mistakes. Wake at the back of the pack, kill it anyway. And we feel betrayed. We were raised to lose the race. Wake at the back of the pack, kill it anyway. To blame, haters face the world's mistakes. Wake at the back of the pack, kill it anyway.
All right, give me a second to start Facebook. Let's see here. Welcome, everybody. The cross-examination will have it sped up, but it's a little over an hour long, I think. Hour 16, hour 20, some of that. I also have another thing. So apparently Lindsay has filed a malpractice lawsuit against the doctors that treated her, which I don't think is out of the question, but there's some pretty interesting details in the malpractice lawsuit. Because the narrative I've heard up until now was like, she didn't know she killed him. She was told she killed him. She was just, she had a tube down her throat and she was unconscious and they're like, you killed your kids, and she just believed it. It doesn't seem that way in her own words, which we'll get to in a second. Let me play the intro.
Hey Daddies, it's me, the Linda Binda from TikTok. I wanted to make this video because I wanted to thank you for watching Cold Beer Confessionals with Will Bird. I think that's just incredible. I've watched a few episodes and I'm just very intrigued. But you know what I'm most intrigued in is Big Daddy's meat stick. I heard that it's very thick, like a good old German sausage. Linda and her coochie loves that. Oh, never mind. Let's not go there. Anyways, I hope you have a good show and enjoy it as you can. There's a lot of weird things that go on, especially when it comes from the realm of Linda Bindaland. So, enjoy the show. Thanks for watching. Peace out.
Well, welcome everybody. I am Will Bird, and this is the Cold Beer Confessional. If you watched yesterday, we're going over the Lindsay Cleary case. It's a really sad case where she killed all 3 of her kids. It seems like a lot of people failed her along the way. She has mental health issues. She was documenting some of these mental health, some of her journey. She'd been to doctor to program. Didn't seem like any of them really helps. I still feel like her husband might be a victim, and he's not doing well with it. Even if he does, some people think he seems creepy or whatever. Again, she's not making the claim that anybody else killed the kids. She's making the claim that she killed the kids, but she was in a form of psychosis that makes her not responsible for killing the kids, basically. That she should be given mental health treatment rather than go to prison or whatever the maximum sentence is in that state. So we're going to start there. We saw her husband testify. I saw somebody lay out a really good argument. I don't remember the details, but I'll try to rehash the argument for you, okay? So get rid of the kids, basically, okay? Pretend the kids are like some irreplaceable, valuable item in a museum. So maybe they're like Fabergé eggs or some shit, okay? And these items are in a museum, and they're allowed to be handled by the population or whatever. You come up and see them, whatever. Lindsay has epilepsy, okay? She doesn't always have epilepsy. Sometimes she doesn't have seizures. Not everybody's seen her have a seizure. Some days she'll have really good days where she never has a seizure, or months where she doesn't have a seizure. Other times she'll have seizures that she's documented. She's went to a doctor. She's asked for seizure medication. Medication is not preventing the seizures, though she doesn't always have seizures, okay? She goes into a museum alone. No one can see her, whatever. The eggs end up broken. All three eggs end up broken. They're destroyed, irreparable, irreplaceable. The argument is not, no one saw her, but the owner of the eggs wants to prosecute her for destroying the eggs. And she's like, no, I had a seizure. Like, I was not in control of my body. I had a seizure. I can't control a seizure. I can't control my body during a seizure. I had a seizure. And the owner's like, well, we saw you at the museum earlier today. You weren't having a seizure. We saw you handle the eggs multiple times, and you didn't have a seizure. We saw you 3 weeks ago with your family at a fucking water park, and you didn't have a seizure. But now, suddenly, you come in here and you're handling the eggs when no one's looking, and you had a seizure. That's the premise of the case. There's a lot of emotion wrapped up in it, I think, because it's 3 little kids. But the core tenet of the case was whatever crime she committed, was she in control when the crime was committed, basically? Was she in control of her own body? So whether it was a seizure and destroying some type of valuable, or it was psychosis and she killed her kids, her husband claimed it was like one of the best days she had ever had, right? Like, she looked so happy. And from his perspective, it might have seemed that way because he was like sending pictures and they were playing and they were building snowman, blah, blah, blah. And we'll see in her own claims in her malpractice lawsuit that she said it was, a pretty bad day. She was constantly hearing audio hallucinations. She thought that she was being told all day long that she had to kill the kids. That the reason that she looked how far the restaurant was from the house was because she was worried that an amount of time that was too long with her alone with the kids, that something might happen. And that as soon as her husband left, she became overwhelmed with these hallucinations, and she felt like she didn't have an option, almost like an out-of-body experience, that she had to do it. But yeah, I think if we take some of the emotion out of it, I sent Mariah a video today. It was about, I'll show it to you. It's about white women on the internet writing fan fiction about it, like shit that didn't actually happen. You know what I mean? Hold on, I'll see if I can find it. I understand everybody's emotionally charged. Everybody doesn't like the husband's remarried. People don't like his vibe or whatever, but he's a victim too.
To my fellow Fellow white women, you have to stop writing fan fiction about Lindsay Clancy and Patrick Clancy. I get that it's hard to wrestle with what happened, but it's not coming from...
Was I saying Cleary instead of Clancy? Clancy is what I meant. I don't know why I was saying Cleary.
...place that's rooted in reality, and I think deep down it's coming from a place of white woman victimhood. Now, is Lindsay Clancy a victim of the mental health crisis that does not treat postpartum women properly? Yes, I would argue yes. But is she the person who committed what happened? Also yes. And so the amount of people that I'm seeing on this app who are now devolving into theories that Patrick Clancy did it and this timeline doesn't add up and it was definitely him and he tricked her into thinking she did it. No, that's not what
The one thing I'm still confused about, I guess, is her core body temperature. I saw an interview with a person that worked in a trauma unit that somewhere where they have glaciers, and they had two bodies that had been exposed to glacial melts, like 32-degree water, submerged for over an hour. And she said in those situations that whenever the body is submerged in extremely cold water, whether they think they're going to make it or not, they always try to warm them up because there's a chance that you can come back from that, right? Even if you look dead and you've been submerged for almost an hour, they always try to warm them up slowly. And their core temperature after being submerged in 32-degree water for an hour was nowhere near what her core temperature was when they got her to the hospital. It seems like she cooled really fast, like faster than a dead body would cool. Seems really strange.
I know that you're having a hard time wrapping your head around the fact that she did this, but you're actually creating even greater harm with this narrative. This is a woman who is sitting there, now paralyzed, saying, yeah, I did.
I even thought I wonder if someone wrote the measurement down wrong. Like what is somebody that cataloged her core temperature, wrote it down wrong, or it's sloppy, or it's unreadable, and people just ran with a narrative or something. Like, seems like she cooled down way too fucking fast. I can find that video, the glacial melt video. Give me a second.
I'm really sorry about it. And y'all are posting things of like, so we all agree the husband did it, right? No. By the way, if that was even possible, the defense would have been all over that. Today in court, Lindsay was asked by the judge if it was okay that the defense, agreed to a lot of the facts that the prosecution has put forward so they can make the trial move even faster. She said yes to everything. She made it very clear that she understood what she was agreeing to. There are women who have been wrongly put on trial, but it's not Lindsay Clancy. Although I would argue, I don't want to see her go to prison, so there's that piece. But she is not wrongly accused of the crime, and you gotta stop. To my fellow white women, you have to stop writing fan fiction about Lindsay Clancy and Patrick Clancy. I get that it's hard to wrestle with what happened, but it's not coming from a place that's rooted in reality, and I think deep down...
Now again, I just trusted this video. I haven't done as much research as I probably should on, but the person doesn't seem to be lying. They could be, I'm sure, but listen to this video before we go on to the cross-examine.
In regards to the Lindsay Clancy case,
there's no proof the husband was cheating. Basically, this all happens shortly thereafter. He moves to New York City. 2 years later, he marries a woman in New York City. People are just saying, oh, well, they could have been dating the whole time and he could have been sneaking away to see her and he could have had a second, there's no evidence that he cheated at all.
I need to tell you guys a story because as a medical professional, none of this makes any sense to me. When I was a nurse, brand new nurse in Colorado, I was working at a trauma hospital. I was working on a neurotrauma floor. Okay. So I'm very familiar with neurogenic shock. I'm very familiar with trauma. I'm very familiar with cases that involve both. One case of
neurogenic shock was what they were talking about. Her thyroid was crushed. She was in neurogenic shock. And that can lower your core temperature pretty quickly.
That we had brought to us was a passenger plane, it was like a flight lesson that had gone down. The plane had crashed into a glacier, in the mountains in Colorado, and had gotten stuck in essentially a pool of water in the glacier. So that water was 32 degrees, the coldest water can get. Both patients had been mangled, had lost a ton of blood, and were brought to us after having been submerged for nearly an hour. And we do that because when bodies are submerged in cold water, sometimes we're able to rewarm them and bring them back. I know that sounds crazy, but we will always try, right? We'll always try. So we brought both those patients in. We began rewarming. Before we rewarmed them, we took core temps. And I remember this clear as day because it was the coldest I'd ever seen a human body. And they were 87 degrees. 87 degrees after over an hour in glacier water, fully submerged, blood loss. I'm sure they were in shock. I'm sure they were dead. They were dead. They had been dead in that water for over an hour, and they were still warmer than Lindsay Clancy was after 15 minutes in the snow. I am losing my mind. I have never seen neurogenic shock cause more than 3 degrees Celsius of change in the human body, in a living person. Dead bodies do not even cool that fast. Dead bodies do not cool 16 degrees Fahrenheit in 15 to 30 minutes, which is what they are saying happened to her. And then after transport to the hospital, during which time they would have been trying to aggressively rewarm her, her core temp after reaching the hospital was still 82 degrees. That does not make any medical sense at all. Someone is lying. Someone is lying. There is no amount of...
I feel like, I don't feel like, I feel like I believe that something happened with her journals, with her seeking doctors. I wish she would have been on medication longer. Like I said, mental health medication, sometimes you just got to push through the shitty part of it to see if it works for a while. Like taking like 6 or 7 pills out of prescription you're supposed to take once or multiple times a day is not going to even tell you if that's going to work. It's going to feel like it's not going to work. You're not going to want to take it anymore, but you got to kind of push through that part. I feel like her husband failed her. I feel like the medical system kind of failed her. I feel like she was reaching out and people were like, well, she looks fine now, so I guess she's having a good day. She must be better kind of deal. I feel like a lot of people failed her, but I don't feel like she needs to go to prison.
drugs, trauma, and neurogenic shock, even when combined, that will make you cool faster than a dead body. That is not possible.
That's what I can't get my head around is cooling, a body cooling faster than a dead body. So if I took someone and killed them, they have no life left in them, their heart has stopped, there's no brain activity, they're dead. She's cooling if the core temperature was accurate. She's cooling faster, living, trying to survive, in shock, all this shit, right? Thyroid crushed, in pain, drugs, everything. She's cooling faster than someone who's just dead.
Period. In regards to the Lindsay Clancy.
All right, let's go to, we got to get to the cross-examination because it's going to be the largest video from tonight. It's over an hour. Let me get there first.
Well, members of the jury, thank you for your patience with us.
We'll speed it up some. It's a little over an hour.
At this point is we're going to return to the evidence. We have witness Patrick Clancy, who testified earlier, is now being recalled, as I said, for the purpose of cross-examination. Okay. All right, counsel. Judge.
There are 18 jurors because this is going to be such a heavy case to comprehend. They thought they might have times when people would call out, want to quit, get sick, something might happen. So there's 12 jurors and 6 alternates. The alternates won't be used at all. They know they're alternates. They won't be used at all unless they're needed.
You and I have certainly met before, correct?
Correct.
Would you agree with me that I went with you and your brothers and maybe some other people into your home very shortly after the state police finished with searching and removing what they felt was evidence from the home?
Yes.
And you recall that went into different rooms and looked at different things, and I think I took some photographs and things of that nature. You remember that?
Yeah.
So, if I may, you met Lindsay back when she was in school, or was she working as a nurse?
She was at the MGH Institute.
And the MGH Institute is like Mass General Hospital nursing program, correct?
Correct.
She had some kind of like an accelerated course or something?
Yeah.
At double major?
Yeah.
Very good student?
She was, yeah.
And she, at a relatively young age, got her RN and was a nurse at Mass General, correct?
Correct.
And at Mass General, she was a, we call it L&D, a labor and delivery nurse, is that it?
Yeah.
Do you remember how many years she worked at Mass General?
I think she started in 2014,
Do you remember when she graduated from nursing school?
6 months earlier.
And were you guys in a relationship then? Or
We were, yeah.
and had you started living together in Southie, or was that before that?
Not in Southie. We didn't live together in Southie. We lived together in Quincy.
Quincy, okay. Tell us a little bit about, you know Lindsay, obviously, the most. How did she like being a nurse?
She loved it. I think it was her dream.
Did you say that she enjoyed her work and helping people?
Definitely, yeah.
So there's been some commentary here from the government about that she was anxious because she had to go back to work, or she didn't want to go to work, she was lazy, or whatever the case
I think Patrick might just be medicated, heavily medicated.
may be.
Objection.
This is sustained. If you could rephrase that.
All right, so I was anxious because she had to go back to work, or she didn't want to go to work, she was lazy, or whatever the case may be.
Objection.
This is sustained. If you could rephrase that.
All right, so I was lazy, that she didn't want to go back to work. But I believe you said in answer to the DA, there was a reason that you could see that she was anxious about going back to work, correct?
Correct.
Now, was she anxious about going back to work, to your knowledge, because she just didn't want to work?
No.
What was the reason?
She struggled to be away from our kids at a young age.
So when you guys ultimately moved to Duxbury, did you have children then?
Yeah.
And as the years went by, obviously, you had more children. Ultimately, you had 3 children, correct?
Yes.
You told us about her
I would like to hear the 911 call, but I don't think we got it released. I know the jurors heard it, the courtroom heard it, but I think all the live stream blocked out the 911 call.
birth with Cora. And
Yeah.
Cora, it was a bit of a rough birth, is that right?
It's really hard to fake a 911 call well, I think.
Yeah, she didn't have time to get an epidural, and she bled a lot.
Do you, in the years that you lived with Lindsay as boyfriend and girlfriend, fiancés, and then ultimately husband and wife, do you recognize her handwriting?
I haven't seen it in a long time, but so I'm not sure.
Okay. Well, counsel's looking at that. Is it your understanding, would she take notes or lists and
Yeah.
for work and home and things of that nature?
She would, yeah.
Excuse me. I'm going to approach you, sir, with this document. Just ask if you can recognize this. If you can recognize the handwriting.
Yeah, that looks like her handwriting.
Looks like Lindsay's handwriting?
Yep.
So I'm going to run the office.
Any objection?
Yes.
If I could see counsel.
Can you see?
They're going to object to that handwriting. He's not a handwriting expert. He just said that he hasn't seen it in years, blah, blah, blah.
that, Mr. Manson?
Yeah.
Pull it away a little bit. Looking at this, what does it appear to be to you, if you know?
May 11, 2015, DG 4P2 at 38.9 NES. Spontaneous labor admitted. Okay, so it's labor, spontaneous labor. It's notes about she was a labor and delivery nurse. 38.9 weeks, 38.4 weeks, 40 weeks. It's notes about her job.
Does it be notes of deliveries that she was involved with?
Yeah.
You see the first one? What's the date, if you can read it? I can't.
It was May 11th, 2015.
And does that indicate, would that, to your knowledge, be around when she started working as a labor delivery nurse?
I thought she started a little early, but I'm not sure.
You see the name of the little girl that was born on that date that was her first delivery?
Yeah.
What's the name?
It's Cora.
And is that the reason you guys named Cora?
It was, yeah.
So that was the first baby she ever delivered. Her name was Cora, and she named her kid Cora.
Can you tell the jurors, as a...
So someone leaked that heard it in the courtroom. And their argument is, I don't talk like this, but I've heard people make this argument before, and maybe you think it's a valid argument. When I get upset enough to like cuss, like spontaneously, like I'm not just cussing, like flavoring on a word or on a sentence, I would not have any difference between if I said it, if I was mad and I said it, she killed the fucking kids or she fucking killed the kids. So their argument is, if he says she fucking killed the kids, he's mad at her because she killed the kids. But if he says she killed the fucking kids are the one doing the fucking, and that he really doesn't care for the kids. But I'm telling you right now, that's not how I cuss when I'm upset at all. I know I've probably said it that second way and been pissed at, like, you're doing this in front of these fucking kids or something, you know what I mean? And I'm not trying to add the fucking to the kids. I'm just adding the cursing to the sentence. You know what I'm saying?
husband, living with Lindsay over the years, what kind of a mother was she?
She was very dedicated. She did everything. She started reading the books at 3 months, and she made up songs for them. I remember she used to make Green Eggs and Ham for Cora because she liked that book.
Is that one of the Dr. Seuss books?
Yeah. She brought them to music classes.
You're quite the musician yourself, isn't that right?
I play a few instruments, yeah.
You play guitar?
Yeah.
In your home, one of the things that appears to be striking is that almost every room, other than maybe a bedroom, well, actually a bedroom, but was dedicated to children. Would you agree with that?
I mean, I honestly, like, the cuss words just flow into there when I'm upset. Like, and I would never, ever, ever want somebody to take me out of context and be like, well, he said the adjective fucking in front of kids, not fucking in front of killed, or not she killed the kid. No, I just fucking threw that in there. And maybe that means something to you guys, but it would not mean anything at all to me.
Yeah. But you didn't have a fancy dining room, right?
We did not, no.
What did you have in the dining room?
We had the table that I grew up with.
How about stuff on the wall in different rooms? Did she put things, wall hangings on the walls for the kids?
There was a lot of art projects, stickers, things like that.
Yeah, okay, hangings on the wall?
Yeah.
One of the photographs that the government had.
I hate this microphone stand. It looks like a fucking gun turret. That is heavy fucking, look at that. That's iron or something. Got fucking 6 bolts up here. It's got 2 fucking riser plates.
Was photographed that, excuse me, you can identify first. Is this photograph a fair and accurate depiction of one of your rooms?
Yeah.
And what room would that be?
That's the playroom.
Is that off of this room?
Any objection? No. All right, that may be admitted.
Also, there are people that are arguing that that, oh, it takes 5 minutes to kill somebody with strangulation. And it kind of does. It does take minutes to kill somebody with strangulation. But when you're using a ligature, like if I took a zip tie and zip tied it tight enough to cut off your circulation and walked away, I don't have to be there for 5 minutes, 3 minutes, whatever, right? If I took an exercise band, wrapped it, looped it, and cinched it tight, the resistance of the exercise band, the fact that it stretches is going to hold the tension on it. It's not like I just took a cord and wrapped it around a piece of paracord and had to fucking hold it the whole time. You're going to see her own statements in a second. So she filed I really want to get to that. Don't let me forget. She filed a malpractice lawsuit, okay? In this malpractice lawsuit, there are statements that she makes in the lawsuit that Lindsay makes herself. She's the only one that could have made these statements. And she tells people exactly how she did it.
658.
Thank you.
Is it a 58 episode of jurors, and I can see it?
It's not, they told me how I did it. It's not, I was intubated and they said you killed your kids with an exercise band. She literally goes into detail about it.
There's some kind of, like, let's just say it's boxed out window. So are we standing in the kitchen looking into that room through that boxed out window?
Yeah.
And all those objects, obviously, they're in that room with kids' toys and things of that nature, right?
Right.
Do you recognize this photograph as being just a sample or sampling of the kids' rooms?
Yeah. I think it was Dawson's.
Okay, put off this.
The objection?
No.
All right, that may be admitted.
659.
All right, thank you.
This one here has a bunch of stickers. It's got Bruce Lightyear, whatever his name is, over to the right, and it's got an alphabet, A, B, C, D.
I have not heard about the blood in the basement, but I would assume he went to her first and then ran to the basement. So I'd assume that he transferred the blood, no?
It's Paw Patrol.
Okay. And again, following through on that same thing, you recognize this photograph as well being another portion of that wall?
Yeah.
And what are those, decals?
Yeah, they're just big stickers.
Okay. In the interest of time, Your Honor, I would just say, you also identified this as being one of the kids' walls. Would that be what you were telling us would be art projects?
Yeah.
And they were hanging on the wall?
Correct.
Who hung on the wall?
I think Lindsay did.
And would she also take hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of pictures of the kids?
Yeah.
Do you recall her putting together a little collage saying newborn, 1 month, 2 months, 3 months, 4 months, and hanging that on the wall?
Yeah, she did it for each kid.
And which child was that?
That one's Dawson.
Did you have occasion to see her interact with Dawson as a...
Greg, did you wish to introduce those photographs?
Thank you, I appreciate it. You still agree?
668, 61.
Okay, thank you.
Can you describe for the jurors her relationship with Dawson? I know he's a little kid, but I mean, did she, to your observation, did she love Dawson?
She loved Dawson very much.
Did she resent him?
No.
You are familiar with, as her husband, Lindsay's, let's say, use of social media, such as Facebook, right?
Yes.
There's also just a bunch of lies on social media too. You got to be careful. People are saying like her DNA wasn't on anything. That's not true. Saying that the knife had been wiped down. That's not true. They said they couldn't pick a usable fingerprints off the knife because they were, covered in blood and cross-contaminated. I'm sure he picked up the knife at some point. She had the knife in her hand. There was just no usable prints on it.
Tell us, would you look at her Facebook a lot in the picture?
There was prints. They just couldn't separate them.
To be honest, no, not really.
Okay. You were able to identify any of her postings on Facebook?
Probably.
Okay. Representative, over the years, or a period of time, I'm going to ask if you can identify this particular Facebook.
And if we may approach briefly.
Sure, yeah, Counsel.
Mr. Clancy, if I ask a question and it's difficult, or if you need a break, I'm sure that, there's notes on, we'll certainly give you a break. Right? Push too hard, so we know, right?
Yeah, appreciate it.
Okay, so again, just representative of the Facebook postings that Lindsay would post as the mother of your children.
People are talking shit about the prosecutor's bow that she's wearing, like this giant bow she's wearing on the back of the head. And then someone made an argument that when they were doing prosecutions, that everything they wore was intentional, from their shoes to sometimes they'd put on wedding bands to make themselves seem older or more reliable, to certain earrings, or they might dress like the victims or to represent a certain person in the jury, and that they believe that she wore the bow as like to show that like these were little kids, like with bows in their hairs or some shit. I don't know. I know people are making fun of her.
for example, would be July of 2018.
Yep.
Can you tell the jurors who that would be?
It's Cora.
Moving forward, say June of 2021. Can you tell us who that?
It's Cora and Dawson.
Yes, I don't think a lot of people aren't lying intentionally. What they do is they hear a video and they miss it. So like when someone hears like the Charlie Kirk case is a good one. When they said that like the bullet shattered, or it was a frangible round, the bullet shattered into a bunch of pieces, and they couldn't match that bullet exactly with bullets fired from a test stand with that gun. People are like, the bullets aren't even from the same gun. They don't match. It wasn't fired from that gun. So now who did it? Israel. Like they don't understand what they're talking about, and they repeat it slightly differently than they heard it, and they think it means the same thing.
Okay. Again, the end of July 2021.
That's with Cora and Dawson.
August 2021.
Dawson.
Okay. End of August 2021.
It's Cora and Dawson.
August again of 21.
It's Cora and Dawson.
September 1 of 21.
It's Cora and Dawson.
Is that first day of preschool?
Yeah.
September of 21.
That's Lindsay and Cora.
And was that some kind of like a family fun day, if you recall, where there was like lots of things for kids to get in?
Yeah.
Okay. End of September of 21.
No, that's Dawson.
Dawson, okay. September 21. Gallon was when? Sorry.
May 2022.
Okay. And Christmas Eve, December 24th of 2021.
That's Cora's birthday.
Okay, and that's her birthday party that year?
Yeah.
Now that's 2021, right?
Correct.
Fast forward 1 year, and that would be Christmas of 2022, right?
Right.
And was that when you guys had the birthday party for at the trampolines?
No.
When was that?
I believe it was January 7th.
Okay, but that would have been for that particular birthday, right?
That was for the birthday with friends because most people weren't available on Christmas Eve.
Christmas Eve, right?
Yeah.
And then down. Again, September 1st of 22. Remember when that was taken?
Yeah, that's with Callan and Dawson.
Was that your yard?
That's in the backyard.
Backyard, okay. This would have been September of 22, obviously right before 23, right?
Right.
And again, for this one here, July of 22, can you tell me, jurors, you guys had a pretty good summer that year?
It was a good summer. Yeah, that was on Cape Cod.
This picture was on Cape Cod?
Yeah.
A couple of points that I wanted to raise, sir, with you. We have an email sent from your, is it Surface Pro, is that what it's called?
That was my laptop. Yeah.
I'm going to approach you, sir, and ask if you can identify this as being an email that you sent.
Yeah.
Okay. Right off the bat,
The objection.
I'd just like to know the purpose of
purpose? I'll tell you the purpose.
You could have heard sidebar.
Sure, yeah.
No objection, Your Honor.
Okay, thank you. That may be admitted.
Well, while we're waiting for the copy, let me just move on to something else. Do you recall yesterday the district attorney was asking you a question or stated to you that on December 2nd of 2022 that you and your wife went to a fancy hotel in Boston and she had a massage and you both had a big dinner? Do you recall her asking you that question?
Yeah.
And in fact, would you agree, sir, that you did not, in fact, go to a fancy hotel on December 2nd of 22, being a Saturday night before your anniversary, the 3rd? You stayed at home, didn't you?
We did. We stayed at home.
And when you were asked that question by the DA, she wanted the inference to be that Lindsay Clancy in December of 22 was so relaxed that she wanted to have a massage and have a big dinner in a hotel. In fact, she was in her bedroom that night.
Objection.
Sustained. If you could rephrase that.
I'm approaching you with what appears to be from one of the photographs that the district attorney had showed you yesterday with her in a mask, and I believe the document in the mask, right? And then,
Yep.
now that photograph, sir, was actually preserved, if you will, on the Laptop Pro computer. Is that right? Did she send that to you?
She sent it to my computer,
Okay.
but I don't know.
And where was she? Do you remember when that picture was taken?
I didn't see it.
Yeah. That's what the photograph was?
It looks like they're at the doctor.
At the doctor's office, okay. And can you tell me the date that picture, right here in the corner top, What date was that picture taken? It's
It's December 2nd,
the same date that we're talking about, correct? And what time was the picture sent?
12:45 p.m.
So the jury.
That was a weird line of questioning from the prosecutor where she was like, didn't you guys go here and have a big dinner and blah, blah, blah for your anniversary? And he's like, no, we didn't go that year. No, we didn't. Yeah, I didn't know where it was going. They had an anniversary thing planned. They canceled it because she said she wasn't feeling well. But the prosecutor, I don't know what the prosecutor was trying to get him to say. It didn't make any sense.
So when you're dealing with these things on the computers, it's a little hard sometimes to understand what they depict.
Because these people shouldn't be asking any questions at this point in the trial that they don't think they already know how the answer is going to, you know what I mean? Like, if she thought she was going to get him on like, well, she wanted to go, but I said no, that would have already came out, right? You know, she was really looking forward to a massage, and I was like, no, we better not. That they would have already known. I didn't understand any of that, but it was very weird. And she rephrased it like 3 times to try to be, you didn't go, and you didn't go to this hotel, and you didn't have dinner here, and you didn't do this. Is this not a reservation for it? And finally he's like, we canceled, we didn't go.
I'm having a hard time moving. Right there, you see that there? That's the date that we're talking about, right?
Right, just to clarify, though, it looks like that was on an iPhone.
Oh, I'm sorry, iPhone. Okay, it was sent to you, though.
Correct.
And it was on December 2nd, the date that the DA was suggesting you were in Boston having massages and dinner, right?
Objection, that was December 3rd.
All right. Well,
Jury's memory.
yeah, if you can answer that.
Do you recall, sir, that she also had sent you the same day, or taken a picture of what appears to be Cora's Christmas list, wish list? Know what that is?
Yeah.
Okay.
God, this shit like that's so sad, dude.
And if
A
you
unicorn wallet.
reckon on that, that was sent. If you can read that.
And he's like he's tech, right? He's like a programmer or something. He worked for Microsoft and a couple startups.
December 2nd at 6:13 p.m.
6:13 p.m. And then finally, if you look at the metadata, that is,
I mean, I know it's stupid to say like hindsight and shit, but damn, I wonder how bad he fucking wishes that he would have taken it a little more seriously or had a fucking 24-hour fucking nanny or fucking something. I don't know.
buried in the photograph. It is latitude and longitude of where the photograph was taken. Is that right? You're familiar with metadata, I would imagine. No way I can't do this.
Use tape. Use tape. The tape on the thing tells you where to put the.
I'll use the tape to line it up.
Okay. And that would be the metadata with the latitude and the longitude and shows you where these photos were taken, correct?
Correct.
I didn't realize that was a projector. He was laying shit on the table and it was projecting up there. I thought it was all from a computer.
Please, Ron.
So I think we had Exhibit 76. They're making a copy of that. You want to mark that? I don't know if we marked that yet. That was the earlier one, just so everybody can keep this straight. And this latest email would be Exhibit 77.
That would be the letter, the email?
That's just copy.
Yeah, the email right here. Yes.
76 and 77.
Okay.
Thank you. Now, sir, Exhibit 76 is an email from you to, we will delete the people that are on the email, if I may, Your Honor, as we mark it as an exhibit. Let me approach you. Does it indicate the date and the time? At the very top, you sent that email to your staff members who was at work.
It does, yep.
Tell the jurors what the date was,
It's January 24th at 5:24.
and that was sent from your Surface Pro?
I don't know, actually. It could have been sent from my iPhone.
Okay, put it off this one. There we go.
That would be Exhibit 76.
Now, when was Callan born?
May 26, 2022.
My memory serves that it was a good birth. It was not easy birth, but I mean, there were no complications.
There were no complications.
And were both of you very happy with Callan being
Yeah.
born healthy? And
Yeah, we felt very lucky.
then in that summer of 22, you had one of the best summers that you've had, right?
Yeah.
What happened in September, October of 2022?
Lindsay's mental health started to deteriorate.
And when you say that, sir, what is it that you, as her husband, observed?
Just increased stress and anxiety.
And did she, as a result of that, go to see or reach out for help to see someone?
Yes.
And who was that?
I believe it was Jennifer Tufts.
Now, Jennifer Tufts is a psychiatrist.
Yeah.
And where is she located?
I never went to her office. Somewhere on the South Shore.
Do you remember when Lindsay went to see Jennifer Tufts?
I don't remember the exact date. I think it was sometime in September.
I think we obviously don't understand enough about like postpartum stuff and downplay it a lot. And pretend that people are weak when they have like postpartum issues. But fuck, we didn't. I mean, like until like the 90s, we weren't even studying medicine on women different than we were for men. Like just crazy shit. You know what I mean?
Oh, I wasn't really involved at the beginning of Jennifer Tufts.
Of course. Do you recall that the difficulties or the trouble, so to speak, began in the end of September into
like they weren't even requiring women to be part of clinical trials for drugs at like just crazy stuff. You know what I mean?
October of 22?
Yeah, it was pretty gradual.
Okay. But do you remember when the DA asked you yesterday whether or not you used your computer to Google suicide in, I think it was August of 22? Do you remember her asking you that question?
Yes.
And do you remember your response?
No, honestly.
You didn't Google that, did you?
I don't think I did, no.
But I'm going to show you, sir, it was August of yesterday, whether it was the end of September into October of 22. Difficulties or the trouble, so to speak, began in the end of September into October of 22.
Yeah, it was pretty gradual.
Okay. But do you remember when the DA asked you yesterday whether or not you used your computer to Google suicide in, I think it was August of 22? Do you remember her asking you that question?
Yes.
And do you remember your response?
No, honestly.
You didn't Google that, did you?
I don't think I did, no.
But I'm going to show you, sir, a web history of your computer. Have in mind that the question was asked of you as to whether or not in August of 22 you Googled suicide. You responded no, right?
Correct.
The difference being, I guess, that back in August of 22, she wouldn't Google it. Apparently, right?
Sure.
You know a guy named Tim Hall?
I think you mean Tom Hall?
Yeah, Tom Hall, I apologize. Who's Tom Hall?
He's a musical artist.
He's a what artist?
Like a country artist.
Country. Is he like a guitar playing guy or singer?
Yeah, was.
We'll say was. What happened to him?
He committed suicide.
And I'm going to show you, sir, your Surface Pro records back in August of 22. Do you recall Googling the name Tom Hall so you could access one of his new albums and new records?
I do remember briefly listening to Tom Hall's music.
Okay. Now, you've never seen, you haven't seen this document before, correct?
Correct.
Right, and this would be, I'm sure you're probably familiar.
So Tom Hall died by suicide.
When you get a phone dump or a computer, record stuff, you can get a printout of all the sites that somebody would go on, Google, Wikipedia, things like that.
Right.
If you can look to the right,
Yep.
down a little bit, you see, I think it says Tom Hall.
Yeah.
What does it say on Tom Hall?
It says his Wikipedia page.
Yep. Let me see here. So,
Tom Hall's like a big country musician. I think he's in the Hall of Fame. I would assume he's in the Hall of Fame.
here, we've got...
He wrote that. You guys ever heard that song about the Harper Valley PTA? It's like a funny song about the Harper Valley PTA. I don't know. I don't know how else to describe it, but that's Tom Hall.
Butthole Knives _ just resubscribed for 7 months.
Butthole Knives. Thank you for the resubscription. I appreciate it.
So that shows you when somebody Googles and it goes Wikipedia, and see where up above it says suicide
He didn't sing it. A woman sang the Harper Valley. He wrote it.
methods.
Yeah.
Now, you didn't, as you said to the DA, you didn't Google suicide methods, right?
I didn't Google suicide methods, no.
But in fact, sir, when you Googled Tom Hall, it took you to the Wikipedia page and it said that he died, right?
He did, yeah.
I don't know who the woman is who sang it. Jeannie Riley, maybe? I don't know, but he wrote it.
And then you clicked on the Wikipedia page and it went into a hyperlink. You know what a hyperlink is? I imagine you know. Hyperlink.
Yeah.
What is a hyperlink, just so I know?
So like in Wikipedia, it would be a word that's highlighted in blue, and it goes to a website.
Okay. So if I suggest to you, sir, that as you move down on your searches that afternoon, that you were looking at Tom Hall, that it brought you to ways to commit suicide, Tom Hall, Google search again, Tom Hall, all on that date at the same time. And you were just looking to see about the guy because he...
So it seems like they were trying to get, say, Lindsay Googled suicide on his computer as if she was thinking about it ahead of time. But the argument back is, no, you were Googling Tom Hall. There was a bunch of suggestions about suicide, blah, blah, blah. But the fact that it's interlaced with multiple Tom Hall searches. So it's like Tom Hall, suicide, ways to commit suicide, who committed suicide, Tom Hall music. But the fact that it's bracketed by Tom Hall stuff makes it seem like maybe he did it accidentally.
Killed himself, right?
Yeah, I think so. Yeah.
Enough of this.
Any objection?
Can I just see the packet?
Oh, yeah.
Again, you're right. I got that discovery from the DA's house.
Well, it's an email from his
Just take a look at it and we'll kind of go from there. Hold on a second.
I watched a movie the other day. My dad really liked Westerns. I was never really a big fan of like older Westerns or whatever. But one was suggested to me the other day when I was thinking about my dad, and I watched it, and fucking Johnny Cash was Frank James, Jesse James's older brother. He played in it. It was weird seeing Johnny Cash in the movie.
What is a URL? What does that mean?
Hold on a second. We actually get a chance to finish.
Yes, I would have got.
If I can see, Counsel.
So, well, that's being marked Exhibit E for ID. Basically, that would at least refresh your memory, sir, that in fact, inadvertently, that you touched the Wikipedia thing for suicide, but it was for Tom Hall, the singer, right?
Sounds like that was the case.
Okay. Do you recall what medication Lindsay was?
That's kind of a shady thing. If there's the DA kind of left it up to like, well, somebody Googled suicide, and if it wasn't you, then when it seems like it's also maybe just an inconspicuous accidental click or part of a larger search or something like that, that's kind of shady.
Put on by Dr. Tufts.
She started with Zoloft.
Now, counsel had asked you about whether or not Lindsay was on Zoloft or any SSRI antidepressant medication in the past.
It seems like she was almost ashamed or scared or something to tell her husband, because when, according to his testimony yesterday, when she first brings up Zoloft, she's like, I'm going to ask to be put on Zoloft. And he's like, why? You think you need it? And she's like, yeah, I think it would help. But she's already been prescribed it. She already has it. She's already gotten it from the doctor. And she's telling him, according to him, his testimony, that she's going to get it in the future. She's going to ask a doctor about it, but she's already got it.
Do you remember that question?
Yeah.
Do you remember her asking about that you were having a conversation with her and she said that she was going on Zoloft and that she had already been to Tufts, or was it Tufts that she got the script from?
Correct.
Okay. She told you that, right?
Yeah.
She didn't hide that from you, right?
No.
And it was, you were at a wedding. Is that right? You're walking down the street, the two of you together, like at the end of the night, and she basically told you that
Excuse me.
she had to use the meds.
It was earlier in the day. It was before the wedding, but yeah.
Okay. And do you recall how, to your observation, how dedicated was she to taking her medications as instructed by the numerous doctors that she ultimately saw?
She always took them as instructed.
Do you remember, did she in fact have a diary that she kept of the milligrams, the type of medication, the date that she took the medication, and what, if any?
That's pretty hardcore. If she's, I mean, well, I guess with all the issues she's had with medication and different doctors and not working and whatever, it's hard to get somebody to keep a journal, like a prescription, amounts, date, time, how they feel, side effects, emotions. It's hard to do that. I mean, I bet every doctor would love if patients did that, but most people won't.
Reactions that she had to it. Do you recall that?
Yeah.
And do you remember where that was kept? Did she keep it in any particular place?
I think she kept it in the kitchen.
In the kitchen. So I'm going to...
I don't know if they proved that she had already taken it. The point was they made it seem like the first time he had heard about it, it was presented as if I'm going to ask my doctor about getting on Zoloft. I think I need it. And in fact, she had already been written a prescription days earlier and already picked it up.
I'm going to show you a photograph that the state police took in your house. Is this a fair and accurate depiction of your kitchen?
Yeah.
Like if I told Mariah, like, hey, I'm thinking about getting on TRT, like my testosterone numbers are low, blah, 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 and I've already been injecting it for a month. You know what I mean? Or it's already sitting in the fridge ready to go, but I'm just testing the waters to see if she like freaks out about it or something. You know what I mean?
So that kind of shows a bunch of books that are in like a cabinet or something, right?
Right.
I'm going to show you this enlarged spine, if you will, of a book. I asked if you ever saw that before.
I don't recall seeing this.
Would you agree, sir, that this book is, in fact, the same book, the same coloring that was in the bunch of books in the kitchen?
Yeah. Maybe it's fear. Some people have like a stigma that they're weak because they have to take mental health medicine, or, you know, it's more common in men. But, you know, I could see being anxious about telling your husband, like, hey, I want to fucking kill myself. I know we built this beautiful life together, but I just want to fucking kill myself all the time. So, I mean, I could understand that, but it's kind of weird. I know all the medicines Mariah's on. Well, if you asked me exactly what it was, it'd probably take me a few minutes to remember and figure it out, but I know she's on the medication she's on.
Yeah.
And she knows that whenever I see my dealer, I'm on whatever he's got lately.
And on this book, you see what the caption of the book is.
Yeah, it says, good moms have scary thoughts.
And I'm going to approach you with this document, sir, which would be a number of pages from the book, the cover of the book, and the inside.
Swapping cards and stacking chips.
I don't recall seeing this.
My dad was on so many medications towards the end of his life. My mom too. They were these people that show up at the doctor with like a fucking Ziploc bag with like 30 goddamn bottles in it, and neither one of them could see good enough to read it. So I was always the guy that had to like fucking dig through. I eventually ended up cutting the labels off and taping them down on a fucking sheet of paper so we didn't look like fucking a street supplier out here trying to invite kids into our van or some shit.
I understand, Your Honor. I will not offer this at this time.
I made lists and lists and lists and lists and lists and sent them to their phone, but they didn't trust it or couldn't find it when it was time to, bring my medicine book, bring my bags of medicine.
Mr. Rankin, if you could show where it is.
I'm sorry, you said
They
you're.
didn't trust it.
The foundation says.
Okay.
All right, any objection?
No.
Okay.
So can I put it in?
Yes.
Okay, great, thank you.
No objection to him not offering it.
All right.
If I can just look at it,
Yeah.
they're making.
Why don't we do this? Why does everybody come over here with that? We can kind of figure out where we go.
I would offer the book, well, a copy of the book.
No objection.
Okay, that may be it.
Good moms have scary thoughts. Let's look that up. This is going to sound fucked up, and I don't know how else to put it, but I've been thinking about this since we started covering this case. I don't know that I could ever lose it to the point to where, like, wanting to harm my own child, like, that seems pretty far out there. But the actual acts with a child old enough to, like, resist or fight back, I don't think I could overcome that. Like, I don't think I could take a child, put something around its neck, pull it tight and tie it while a kid was trying to resist. You know what I mean? Like, I would have to be in some type of psychosis or out-of-body experience. I just don't think I could do that. And we fucking fought kids in Iraq, so, like, there's definitely a difference between those two. Even your kids, like, the resistance thing, I almost feel like it would be easier to, like, this is going to sound even more fucked up. I almost think it'd be easier to, like, with like a gun or something, right? Because it's just so quick. There's no resistance. There's no, like, fighting back or trying to, like, oh, God. It's making me anxious just thinking about it.
Who was the next doctor, if you recall, that Lindsay went to consult with?
Julie Paul.
And is this a doctor or a nurse practitioner?
I don't remember what Julie Paul was. It was very brief.
Okay. Now, is it fair to say that Julie Paul was at South Shore?
Yeah, correct.
And Julie Paul was a friend of your mother's, is that right?
Yeah, I think they were acquaintances, yeah.
And your mother was a nurse also at South Shore Hospital?
In L&D, yeah.
L&D Labor and Delivery Center. Okay. And your mother was good enough to refer Lindsay to this person to consult with, right?
Yeah, I don't think it was a formal referral. I think she just said this is a specialist that you might want to talk with.
All right. And did she go to see the specialist?
Yeah.
And did you go with her, or was this a...
No, I never met her.
Should check myself out. Were these like in-person meetings? Or...
The resistance part is what I can't get over. Like, a kid's not going to let you do something like that and just stare at you, you know what I mean? Like, or just lay down. Like, they're gonna try to fight for their life. What the fuck?
Are they like, what do you call them, Zoom meetings? And
most of the meetings were Zoom. The only in-person that I'm aware of was with Rebecca Gelada.
Rebecca Gelada. Okay, and that was because you insisted on it, right?
Plymouth, Massachusetts.
Warranted at that time, yeah.
Right, because you were pretty much at your wit's end with the 15-minute Zooms, and you wanted to sit down eyeball to eyeball and talk to this person, right?
I hadn't attended any prior to that. I just wanted to get clarification. I wanted to see if we could get on the same page.
All right. So now, Lindsay's on Zoloft from Dr. Tufts, the psychiatrist, correct?
Correct.
And then that runs into when you guys, she goes...
I don't know what you mean, what video I was talking about earlier. Their claim is that we'll see what she... So I found this document from this malpractice lawsuit, and it's from her point of view. It's very intriguing. She even says that she put the exercise band around their necks, pulled it tight, and told them to go be with God. Like, no one else has given that point of view. That's her saying, I did this. It's not like... Well, I just woke up and someone told me I did it, so I must have done it because, what are the other options? So I convinced myself. This is her saying, like, I put it around their necks. I pulled it tight. I told them to go be with God.
Goes to see Nurse Paul.
Can you clarify?
What was it?
Can you clarify what you're asking?
Yeah, what month? When was it that she saw Nurse Paul?
Maybe October, but I'm not sure.
Okay. When she saw Nurse Paul, do you remember where she saw Nurse Paul, or was it a video thing?
I don't know. I wasn't involved.
Okay. Did Nurse Paul prescribe medication to her?
He's very hands off with these. Like, I mean, I can understand you didn't go to the appointment with her, but did she go in person or was it telehealth?
A lot if he knows.
I don't know off the top of my head.
All right. Do you recall whether or not, to your opinion, that she had any reactions to the Zoloft that she had been placed on by Dr. Tufts?
I don't know any observations that were made.
Right, so it's not guesswork, it's observations, anything you saw and observed.
Yeah, it seemed to align with her insomnia symptoms.
Now, the insomnia, inability to sleep, was that a significant problem from your observation?
Zoloft is bad especially when people first start taking it or change dosage, that it'll not allow you to sleep at night, but then you'll fucking nod out during the day at random times.
With her?
Yeah, it was a huge problem.
And when you say huge problem, was there one point when she was on medication from Tufts that in fact she had gone 48 hours, I think, without sleep?
Yeah.
And that was disturbing to her?
Yeah, and it was just hard to function.
And how about you? Was it disturbing?
Yeah, when you go that long without sleeping, you start seeing shadow people and shit. They used to keep us up for missions and shit, and it's fucking wild. Nobody should be doing that.
To you?
I just wanted her to get sleep and feel better.
Now, during that period of time, she then went and saw the next doctor, a nurse practitioner, which we talked about, which would be nurse practitioner Paul at South Shore, right?
Right.
Now, after seeing nurse practitioner Paul, if you remember, or no, did you observe, did she seem to get better or did she seem to get worse?
It would be hard to say. I think it was a week at most. So, it's really hard to say in that short a time frame.
Sure. And when you say a week at most, you mean that's like she was seeing nurse practitioner Paul for about a week?
Yeah, and I mean, she may have only seen her once. It was very brief, and then she got reassigned somewhere, so.
And the reason, if you know, that she got reassigned somewhere would be nurse practitioner Gelada, right?
Right.
Same practice, right?
Right.
And the reason was because Paul moved on to another job, right?
Right.
So Lindsay wasn't out doctor hunting. She was referred by the nurse practitioner that was referred to you guys by your mom because Paul was leaving, right?
Yeah, she just switched doctors in the same practice.
All right. Now, she sees Dr. Gelada, right?
Right.
Did Dr. Gelada, to your knowledge, put her on
Now that makes perfect sense. Because they were almost trying to say like she was going from doctor to doctor to doctor and not following treatment, but two doctors were in the practice because one of them moved. That's not a big deal.
Yeah.
And what was the medication, if you know?
Mainly Seroquel and benzodiazepines, Ativan.
No, benzodiazepines. They're addictive, right?
Apparently.
Objection.
I'll allow it.
And a benzo would be, for example, Ativan, correct?
Correct.
Now, Seroquel, she was placed on Seroquel as well. Is that correct?
Right.
And to your observation, again, you're not a doctor, what you saw of your wife, was she affected positively or negatively by the Seroquel that she was on?
It appeared that she was affected very negatively, and she's reporting that that she's getting worse on the Seroquel.
And do you know, did she report that to Dr. Gelada?
Yeah.
When she would consult with Dr. Gelada, prior to you actually going, do you know, were they all on video?
Yeah, they're all on Zoom.
Okay. Do you have any opinion for the jury as to approximately how long these meetings on Zoom would be with the nurse practitioner?
Probably around 20 minutes.
At some point, do you recall that you went with Lindsay to see Dr. Gelada? Is that right?
This seems to be like the one time he seemed to step in that he was concerned, because these telehealth visits seem to go really quick. They seem to be like hey, how you doing? Okay, good, keep going, blah, blah. But it was also during COVID, right? So doctors seeing a lot of people, a lot of telehealth, a lot of stuff going fast and extra people, a lot of bodies. But he did at one time make a stand and be like, no, we need to go in person. Like, these seem like really quick and like not a lot's changing, and we need to go see somebody in person, which good on him for that, at least.
Yes.
And do you remember, if you remember, when that was?
Early December.
In early December of 2022, can you tell the jury from your observations, how did Lindsay appear? How was she acting? How was she faring?
She was extremely sleep deprived and just highly anxious.
Was there a number of occasions that you would actually see her on the sofa, rocking back and forth with her head under a pillow?
Yeah.
Did you report that and other symptoms to Dr. Gelada?
Lindsay did.
So when was it, if you recall, that you went and saw Dr. Gelada with your wife, person to person?
When was it?
Yep.
Early December. I think it was December 6th.
And do you remember, you have a pretty good memory about this, do you remember what medication she was prescribed by Gelada?
Coming out of that meeting?
Yep.
Yeah, she increased the Seroquel significantly, and then she prescribed her Valium to help taper off of the benzos.
Taper off the benzos?
Yeah.
To your knowledge, did Lindsay go to doctors to seek out benzodiazepines or drugs just because she was a drug addict?
No. Lindsay, I think, wanted to. She definitely didn't want to take any more benzodiazepines, and definitely didn't want to take any more Seroquel. I think that it wasn't really a matter of trying to get off the medication; it was just trying to get on the right medication.
Okay. Let's say mid-December. What observations, if any, heading up towards Christmas, did you guys endure?
She seemed to get worse. The Seroquel was increased to 400 milligrams. 400? Yeah.
By Dr. Gelada?
Yeah. And the idea behind that was it would help with sleep, but she didn't get better. She got worse.
Do you recall that at one point she went to a place called Women's and Infants in Rhode Island.
Right.
Women and Infant Center for Women's Behavioral Health. Do you recall that?
Right.
Do you remember when she actually went to Women's Behavioral Health?
This place seemed to really fail her. I don't know what they specialize in, but it seems like it's a postpartum inpatient kind of deal, like for the worst cases of, you know, postpartum depression. And he drops her off, and 4 hours later he's back, and the doctor's there. Like, I don't think she's a good fit for us. Like, what the fuck happened there? That was weird.
Sometime in mid-December. I don't know the exact date.
All right. So if I suggest to you, sir, that I have certified copies of the Women and Infants medical records indicating that on December 20th of 2022, that was the day that you dropped her off at Women. Does that refresh your memory?
Yeah.
Your Honor, I'd like to offer the certified copies of the Women and Infants hospital records.
Would object, we don't have a copy of those.
All right.
You don't have them?
Could I see anybody here?
And where did you go skiing?
What you said?
At some point.
So he dropped her off. She was supposed to be there all day. So he went on and took his daughter skiing while she was at this inpatient thing. She calls and says, "Hey, I need you to come back." And the doctors are wanting to talk to you. He comes back and they say that it's not a good fit, whatever that means.
In the afternoon, did you receive a phone call?
Yeah.
Was it from Lindsay?
Yeah.
And as a result of the phone call, what did you do?
She said that you need to come pick me up, and the doctors here want to talk to you. Have you come in and talk for a bit?
Okay. Did you go and talk to them?
Yeah.
Do you remember who you talked to?
I don't remember their names.
Do you remember the conversation? Did you describe or indicate what her symptoms were at that point in December 20th of 2022?
Yeah, the conversation was they didn't.
Objection.
Yes.
All right. Sustained at this time.
Did the people at Women's and Infants facility in Rhode Island prescribe any medication to your knowledge?
I don't think so.
They provide any counseling or anything?
I think they tried to, but they felt that it wasn't the right fit for Lindsay.
Okay. Do you recall that in fact it was because of the drugs? They weren't sure what symptomology would be because of the drugs?
Objection.
Sustained.
Do you recall whether or not the people at Women and Infants in Rhode Island reached out to Dr. Gillette?
I don't think so.
Well, if he knows.
I don't think they did, no.
And was it one day or half a day that she went to Women and Infants in Rhode Island?
It was half a day.
Half a day. So after you pick her up and you bring her home, it's now you and the kids and Lindsay, and it's days before Christmas, right?
Yeah, and her parents were there.
Why were her parents there?
They were visiting, trying to help out, and I took Dawson to watch. She said they stayed home with Cora and Kellen.
Now, during that time frame in December of 22, maybe a little bit before, maybe after Thanksgiving, did your mom and dad and Lindsay's parents come to your house and try to help out with the kids?
Yeah, I think it was separately, though.
Yeah, of course it would be separate. I mean, what would they do?
Just be there, help out, play with them, get takeout, play Scrabble.
Did Lindsay's mother and father actually stay there and sleep in the basement for
They did, yeah.
time? Were you aware personally, back up, you and Lindsay as husband and wife would in effect sleep in the same bedroom, is that correct?
Yeah.
There was an occasion, though, that she said to you about you go downstairs, and then I think she ended up downstairs?
Yeah, for the purposes of her getting better sleep.
And for her purposes of getting better sleep, were you aware that on one occasion she used a gummy, a sleep aid gummy? Did you know that?
I don't recall that, but we did have them in the house.
Okay. Now, to your knowledge, was Lindsay a person that liked to smoke the weed and use the CBDs, oils, and all that stuff, or did she not invite that?
No, she didn't smoke.
So you had these gummies in the house, sleep aid, right?
I mean, some people might call them a sleep aid.
Okay. Heading into the holidays of 22, do you recall where you
I did stuff with the kids while you were locked up. I took them, I think me and Liam went to a movie.
spent Christmas?
I think it was at our house.
McDonald's and a movie, I think.
We celebrated Cora's birthday, and I think we actually went down to Wallingford, Connecticut, to be with her parents after.
Her parents?
Yeah.
Okay.
It's a distraction for kids. I could understand.
And then heading into January of 23, who did she then see for doctors or nurse practitioners, if you know?
After she got back from McLean?
Yes.
She switched back to Jennifer Tufts.
Now, before she switches back to Tufts in January, on New Year's of 2022, 2023, you guys drive to Boston, go to MGH, and ultimately she turns herself into McLean Hospital, right?
Right.
Now, McLean Hospital is basically a locked ward facility, correct?
Correct.
Was she allowed to just wander around and leave the place whenever she wanted?
She couldn't leave, but inside she could go to different areas.
Can you tell the jury what her state of mind was as she went to McLean Hospital with her husband on New Year's 23 at that point?
She was scared. She didn't want to go, but I think it was the second time we went to the ER, and I said, you have to go.
It was just him and his daughter. That was it. He took his daughter. There's another time that him and his daughter went with a friend of his and their son, but this time was just him and his daughter while she was at the Women's and Infants Hospital thing.
Now, at McLean Hospital, I know you visited with her, is that correct?
Yeah.
District Attorney asked you yesterday about the excellent care that she was provided with all these counselors and therapists, and you indicated that it was your understanding that she was playing with clay and coloring, right?
Right.
Can you describe for the jury what McLean was like to you as a husband visiting his wife? What words, were there doctors, were there nurses, were there people in the hallways?
What I saw was looked like mainly nurses. It was the tail end of COVID, so they were mostly behind.
One time, my papa was a mechanic. He owned a service station. He built race cars. He did some moonshine. He did a bunch of stuff, but he worked with his hands. And he had a stroke. And after the stroke, he didn't regain all of his function back immediately on the left side of his body, blah, blah, blah. So they sent him to a rehab center. And the doctor wanted him to complete, it was 3 weeks in rehab. And he didn't want to go. He wasn't looking forward to it or whatever. So when he got to rehab, they said, well, you're moving around all right. Like, what do you do for a living? And he's like, well, I'm a mechanic. You know, I work on cars, I own a gas station and a garage and blah, blah, blah. And they're like, oh, you work with your hands. We got something good for you. So the only thing they could find for him to do to work with his hands was build fucking birdhouses. Building birdhouses from birdhouse kits. So he built, in 3 weeks, he built 54 birdhouses. And everybody for Christmas that year got like 3 or 4 birdhouses delivered on Christmas Day. Not even wrapped up. We just all got birdhouses that year.
Behind this plastic covered area. And it could have been just the time of day that I visited, but people were hanging around, watching TV, playing with clay.
Do you know whether or not she saw a doctor or a psychiatrist ultimately from McLean Hospital?
I was not aware of that. The only one I was aware of was the doctor on the second to last or final day.
And what was that, Dr. Goodhart?
Yeah.
And did you speak to Dr. Goodhart?
I ended up calling her.
Dr. Goodhart.
Was
Aaliyah Goodhart.
We spoke, and she said, you know, she's clearly depressed.
Sustained.
Okay. So you spoke to Dr. Goodhart.
Yep.
Did Dr. Goodhart, to your knowledge, prescribe any medication?
I think she recommended medication, and then...
How many medications did she recommend?
I don't know if she recommended multiple. I want to say it was Cymbalta, but she said, you know, check with your doctor and make a decision.
So when Lindsay left, it was because she wanted to leave one day early because of Cora's birthday. Is that right?
I don't think it was one day early. I think she had a 5-day stay, which at the time was my understanding was that was pretty standard. And yeah, she did want to attend Cora's birthday.
So there's no doubt, sir, in your mind that when she was discharged from McLean, that you got these right. McLean? Yeah. That when she was discharged from McLean Hospital, it was not against medical advice. The doctors gave her bill of health and let her go with you, right?
Right.
And after the McLean records.
Any objection?
No.
They may be admitted.
They did make it seem like she left early AMA against medical advice, and it doesn't seem to be the case, though.
Hospital, and you get out of the hospital, they give you a bag, and you've got medications and a little card, and says, thank you for being here, stuff like that. Did you guys get anything from McLean at all?
I don't think so.
Did you get any recommendations other than the doctor suggesting that you might want to try Cymbalta? Did they give you a script?
I don't think so.
You know what Cymbalta was?
No.
Do you remember Dr. Goodhart telling Lindsay to Google it?
SNRI?
I think that's accurate.
In fact, she Googled it hundreds of times.
Yeah.
Medication, right?
Yeah.
So when you guys go home, and now it's January, obviously, you had the party for Cora, correct?
Yeah.
You guys had friends over, or friends that you guys knew?
Friends came to the party, which was at a place in Plymouth.
Would you agree with me that Lindsay had a number of friends from actually grammar school, through high school, through college that she stayed in touch with over the years?
Yeah.
And you as well?
Yep.
And they're good friends. Like, you still would see them, and you guys would do dinner and things of that nature, right?
Yeah.
Actually, one of your friends, I think it was one of your friends, it might have been one of her friends, actually named her in January, or around that time frame, to be godmother, I would take care of their child if anything bad happened to them and they were dead, right? You remember that?
My brain has been foggy for the last couple years, but...
I understand.
Yeah.
Okay. In January, as time went by, do you recall that she would actually continue to take notes of her medications that she was taking, right?
That sounds like something Lindsay would do.
Kept a diary or a little log, right?
Yep.
I'm approaching you, sir, with this and asking if you can identify this. Anyway.
Sorry, I got to take my steroids. I keep forgetting. They got my stomach tore up. Shit's fucking getting old now. I got 4 or 5 more days left.
Yes.
And when you say yes, and I'll put it on the little screen, what is it?
It's the dosage of medication that she took and how she's feeling.
So this is kind of like a little medical diary that she was keeping?
Yeah.
For example, here you see on that 5 milligrams Valium, 200 Seroquel, slept well, horrible thoughts in the morning, right?
Horrible intrusive thoughts.
Did she at some point...
Slept well, horrible thoughts in AM. That's awful, dude. Seeing that she was documented, she knew she needed help.
Thank you. There was an occasion where she told you, in the presence of her mother, that she was having horrible thoughts, right?
Right.
And you told us about that yesterday. And it was quite an emotional thing for her to do that, right?
Right.
After that time frame, you continued on. You were working in the basement, right?
Yeah.
I shouldn't say basement. It was a finished place, right?
Finished basement, yeah.
And that was where you worked on a regular basis. Is that right?
Yeah.
Would that be a 40-hour week?
The doctor that gave her the Cymbalta recommendation testified as well that she had never treated postpartum psychosis, had never seen it before, and that she was making a recommendation just based off what she had told her.
Longer?
It varied, but yeah, roughly 4 hours.
And I know it was maybe COVID, tail end of COVID.
And told her to Google it.
But one of the other reasons that you did that was so you could be home and help out. Is that right?
Yeah, I worked from home since 2018.
Okay.
But yeah, I built an office down there.
So you were always there?
Yeah.
Not always, but you were down there when you would work?
When I wasn't traveling, yeah, I was there.
Okay. So when would you travel? Tell us about that.
I really didn't travel actually much during COVID, just towards the end, once in November.
November of what year?
2022.
November of 2022.
But before that, I traveled extensively.
Well, let's look at November of 2022. November of 2022 was a month before she was telling you and her mother that she was having thoughts about hurting children, right?
Right.
It's November of 2022, and you traveled. Where did you travel to?
New York.
And how long were you there, sir?
2 nights.
And who took care of the kids?
Lindsay.
Sorry?
Lindsay took care of the kids.
Lindsay. So for 2 days, 2 nights, a month and a week or so before she killed the children, she was home with the kids for 2 days. Is that right?
Right.
Fair to say that you also had your friends that you would do brunch with on occasion, Sundays or weeknights or whenever, guys night type thing?
Yep.
And you'd be out with your friends. If she wanted to kill the kids, she certainly could have done it that time when you're out, right?
In theory.
As opposed to sending on a 3-minute trip to CVS and a 9-minute trip to a restaurant, you were away for 2 days in November and on a number of occasions for brunch as well as skiing, right?
Right. If her goal was just to kill the kids and kill herself, she had ample opportunity. She didn't need this elaborate Miralax and 3V restaurant excuse.
Pretty active guy.
Yeah.
Right? You were away for 2 days in November and on a number of occasions for brunch as well as skiing, right? You're a pretty active guy.
Yeah.
Right? I'm going to approach you, sir, and another one of the books that was in the kitchen cabinet, I believe. Do you remember the other side of this one?
I don't think so.
But is it fair to say, sir, that she had a number of books, about parenting and things like that, and this one here was pregnancy and postpartum anxiety workbook. Did she have workbooks that you were aware of, or work diagrams and things like that?
She had books of different sorts.
So you can't identify this as being in the kitchen, right?
I don't recall seeing that book. No.
Anxiety.
Sure.
Identification.
Thank you. By the way, we'll draw that. I'm going to approach you, sir, with this document. Excuse me. And ask if you can identify it.
It says postpartum depression and anxiety patient information sheet.
And if you go towards the end there, does it give deeper writing in it?
Yeah.
Okay.
No,
All right, that may be admitted.
Yeah, you said. Now, sir, I'm looking at this item. It's got a bunch of files on the front. It appears to be a notebook. Is it your understanding that the state police went in your house and they seized all sorts of items, such as this?
Yeah.
So we don't have originals that the police do, but these
Right.
are fair and accurate?
Yeah.
Is that the caption that you were referring to?
Yes.
Postpartum depression and anxiety.
Yes.
And at the end of this particular document, you would agree, sir, that it has writing?
Yeah.
And whose writing is that?
Lindsay's.
And is it
How to use a mood chart. At the end of each day, write your mood, the highest or lowest that you felt that day. Place a dot in the box that best describes your mood. If you had high and low moods on the same day, place 2 dots. List the number of hours you slept each day. Weigh yourself on the 14th and 28th of each month and record. Rate any anxiety, irritability you may have on a scale of 0 to 3. 3 equals high. Record daily. List your medications. Place a check mark daily beside your medications. Place A if you drank alcohol, or D if you took drugs that were not prescribed by a doctor.
this like a book or notes that you would take?
Place a check mark daily if you took your medicine. Yeah, a drug that was not prescribed by a doctor. Okay.
Documenting on a daily basis any effect that she had from postpartum?
It appears to be the case.
Yeah. Your Honor, I would offer the records of Dr. Jennifer Tufts, ask the mental health records.
No,
All right, they may be admitted.
I'm going to have to, I think, maybe talk to the DA about this because I do have a lot of tabs and notes in this one. I know we have a clean copy of it.
we have a clean copy we're planning to admit, so that's no
Good,
problem.
okay.
So we'll enter that, and then before we can then substitute it with a clean copy.
Thank you. Good age for identification.
Can I see the exhibit?
You remember these messages, because when I snap and go postal one day, they're going to say that Mariah saw the warning signs. She lived with him every day. She heard all the crazy shit he did. She's seen him flip out and yell and beat people and scream, and you know they'll be fucking throwing you under the bus. So you know.
One of the things you had identified yesterday was the document.
You'll be part of the Netflix documentary. They make you put on a microphone and sit down on the cup chair.
That you obtained from CVS, is that correct?
Yes.
It sets forth all of the medications that were purchased by Lindsay, by
They're going to say, but why did he start at the orphanage?
prescription from the physician.
You have to answer.
That's seen during that period of time, correct?
Correct.
And you indicated yesterday that the police had seized a number of pill bottles, and then you also had a number of pill bottles, is that right?
Right.
And the pill bottles that you had, do you recall, what are the circumstances that you had them in a bag in your car?
The reason I had them in a bag is because sometimes a provider would adjust medications. So, for example, I do remember Lindsay had a prescription of Ativan, and then a few days later they wanted to increase the dosage because it wasn't effective. So what they would do is they would say, give that old prescription to your husband, he'll discard it, and then continue taking from the new prescription.
When the DA yesterday went through that there were scripts and there were pills on the 30 count, and then there's 27 and 3 were gone, and that's because she wasn't taking her medication. That's not the case. It's what you were told to do, right?
Correct. Yeah. Without that context, it paints a different picture.
Okay.
Exhibit.
That makes more sense then, because I was thinking she wasn't taking the medication enough. Seems like, no, we're going to give you a different dosage. Disregard that whole bottle. We'll send you some more.
2 would be the pills that you had turned in, I believe. Is that correct? They were in your bag, in your car?
Right.
I know you can't tell them what they were there.
I remember it's Exhibit 2, though.
Okay.
Yeah, but he's not, I don't think he's liable. I don't think he's, like, we can all think he's a shitbag. He didn't do enough to help his wife. A lot of people felt his wife, but he's not, like, criminally responsible.
Wednesday, January 24th, one of the troopers located 4 medication.
That's what I'm leaning to, is he thought he was in a situation like, it can never happen to me. She's fine. She's doing fine. She's great. I can go do whatever. When he probably should have been more involved.
Bottles, and at some point on the 26th at about 2:30 in the afternoon, bottles were then documented by the police. When was it, if you know, that you turned these items in to the police?
I believe it was after the event. I don't remember the exact date, but I remember I told them I do have other prescriptions.
That's what I said. A 24-hour, like, in-house nanny something.
In my truck still, and I gave them to him.
Okay. So the police already went in with a search warrant. They already seized all the drugs that they could find in the house, in the kitchen, in the bedroom. Were there drugs in the kitchen, by the way?
I mean, if that's the life you want to live, right? You can't be that 24-hour person. You're not always there. You want to still go and travel and do, then you got to have somebody there when she's struggling. Or when she could struggle.
Yeah. They're all over the place, right?
Yeah.
And they seized that, right?
Yeah.
And then you, to be cooperative, told the police that you also had pills in your car, and you went to the DA's office and gave them to Attorney Sprague and the state police, right?
Right, but to be clear, those were discontinued prescriptions.
These are the ones like that she stopped.
Correct.
All right.
So that was fucked up. The DA presented it like, oh, are you aware of this bottle? There was only 3 pills missing. There was only 6 pills missing. But those are prescriptions she was told to discontinue taking. She was told not to take those anymore. That was pretty fucked up by the prosecution.
And then you had new prescriptions, and there were new prescriptions that were prescribed to her, right?
Yes.
Now, when I met with you in the house, long after the state police had...
So she was on, let's say she was on a 5 milligram dose of Zoloft or what, I don't know. I'm just making it up. 5 milligram of drug A. And they're like, well, we want to increase you to 15 milligrams. She's like, so do I just take 3 of these? They're like, no, disregard that whole bottle. We'll get you a new one. It'll say 15 milligram. It'll be the right size. You take 1 or take 2 or whatever. And just disregard that whole bottle. And that was the bottles he had. That's why there were only a few missing from each one.
gone and finished their search. You recall that we went up to the bedroom and I removed this from the nightstand right next to the bed.
Yeah.
Can you tell us what that is? What is this? Is it a drawer?
That's the drawer that goes into the nightstand.
And inside the drawer, sir, do you recall that there were a number of items that, let's see, Trazodone, Lindsay Clancy, prescribed on January 5, 23. Creatinine, January. Creatinine, 100 milligrams, prescribed for Lindsay Clancy, December 21st. Lorazepam, they're all empty too, right?
Yeah.
These are what she shot down with that lemonade or water or whatever was in the cup that she ground up these pills, right?
So whatever she had on hand in that drawer looked like she took all those.
Lamotrigine, prescribed to
Uh-oh. Be safe, Michaela Robertson.
Mirtazapine, prescribed to Lindsay Clancy, January 23. Those are in this drawer, and they were all empty, right?
Right.
You observed that, right? There's something else that was in the drawer. Do you recognize that?
Yeah.
What is it?
It's her Apple Watch.
Her Apple Watch. This is the Apple Watch that apparently the police used to go up the stairs, downstairs, hack rate, things of that nature, right?
Yeah.
They never even seized it, did they? They left it in the drawer, right?
Apparently.
What is this item, sir? If you can identify that for us.
It's a face
That does seem kind of weird. They didn't take all these empty bottles and shit.
mask for sleeping.
To sleep?
Yeah.
Now, you had mentioned something, I think, about pillow spray. What is it?
She bought some pillow spray. It apparently helps you sleep.
And did you see her using that on a regular basis?
Yeah.
Yes?
Yeah, she did.
I would offer the rock.
About the Apple Watch.
Yeah.
I think
there's a watch on the side there.
I know, I was gonna-
No objection.
Okay. Do you want to put that in as one exhibit? Okay.
Now, reference to the Apple Watch, sir. How many Apple Watches did she have?
Just one.
Just one. It's the only one she had. At least never seasoned, right?
Correct.
And the drugs that were in the drawer, the empty drugs in the pill bottles from January, December, 22, 23. The police never.
We should have been way more involved. But, like, let's say we're going to charge him. What do we fucking charge him with?
I'm showing you an item, sir. It's like a little green vase. Have you ever seen that before?
Yeah.
Can you tell the jury what it is?
Objection. We could go to
Yeah,
sidebar.
can I see counsel sidebar, please?
Identification.
I don't think this reaches child neglect in any way.
To your knowledge, sir, was she advised by nurse practitioner Tufts to keep a nighttime dump diary of all of her thoughts and write them down so that she had something that she could refer to?
Not that I'm aware of.
You ever see her writing notes in the diary, or like the thing with dates on it, November 23rd, for example, things of that nature?
I knew she kept notes, but I didn't see her doing it.
When it returned this document, I asked, that appears to be her handwriting.
Yeah.
And does that contain indication as to her state of mind, particular date or dates thereafter?
Yeah.
Just take a look at the page.
Yeah.
You want to wrap up this?
Follow?
Please.
Yeah.
Yeah, I got it from the state police, so it's assume you guys have it.
No objection.
Okay, that may be admitted.
Page 3.
I'm going to show you another document, sir. It appears to be a document. Do you recognize her handwriting in that document, the dates, September 29th, for example, 22?
Yes.
And does that appear to, can you tell us what that appears to be, sir, if you know?
Looks like a schedule for Callan.
And the schedule for Callan, that would be, what, like when he's eating or sleeping or something like that?
Yeah, naps. Yeah.
So, for example, where it says September 29th, there it is, 22, and then it makes reference to Callan, last fed with the time frame, and then there's a bunch of pages like that go forward on those dates. Is that
She meticulously kept notes about stuff.
Yeah.
come down for a nap, 9:35 with a smiley face, things like that, right?
Right.
Is this typical for Lindsay that she would document these things as a new mother?
Yeah.
Was she being controlling, in your opinion, of her child and of you by doing this schedule?
No, I found it helpful.
Which I don't think is-
Any objection? All right, that may be admitted.
Page 4.
One of the things, sir, that the district attorney had asked you about is the exhibits of the, I think it was the window in the bedroom. You said it was 20 feet drop to the ground?
Right.
Is that right? This is a photograph of the same one you already introduced, but I just don't know where it is. So this is the photograph of the house. You can identify that, right?
Yeah, that's the living room window.
Okay. And the window that you're talking about that's 20 feet up would be on the very top of that picture, correct?
Correct.
Now, when you identify this picture, I can't see. You see that there's some kind of an orange ball. It appears to be an orange ball underneath the sill.
Yeah.
To the left. And it appears to be red marks or red spots, like possibly blood above it.
Yep.
Can you tell the jurors what that little orange ball is?
Yeah, we had a woodpecker who would peck at the house and create holes. That's why I prepared some of
That's foam.
And I took some foam and filled a hole.
Expanding foam.
Right off of that, you want to just add continuity.
No
All right,
objection.
that may be admitted.
And then also, if I may, just the top picture, I believe is also, see where it looks like fingerprints of blood on the edge of the window on the second floor. You see that? That's from the house?
Yeah.
Excuse me, ready?
Yeah. Okay, so I'm talking about the haunted thing right here. And then this is, I see on this top here. Okay, so you see on the top of this window here. It's not a very good picture.
I would imagine if I was him, I would be hiring an attorney. Just to see the way the sentiment is online, I would definitely have somebody on my side right now, for sure.
Underneath the haunted thing,
The internet is trying to railroad him as a fucking triple fucking homicide, attempted murder, and plotting all this, and threats, and it's pretty crazy.
see it, but in the exhibit, you can see there's like blood drops or blood smears there.
Yeah,
That's
I see
the
it.
first floor window that's directly underneath the second floor window, right?
Right.
Okay.
Any objection? They may be admitted.
I'm all set. Thank you, sir.
All right. I'm going to read this next part. It's pretty tough. Okay. Just forewarning. This is her. This is Lindsay's own statement. This is her own lawsuit for malpractice. Okay. Some of this is pretty tough. I'm going to read through it. We're going to go from there. So Lindsay Clancy here. Let's go. The Commonwealth of Massachusetts, this was docketed on January 28th of 2026. Now, she's going to say things in here that are clearly from her own perspective. The narrative online is like, hey, you know, she just woke up. She was intubated. She was told she killed her kid. So how would she know? She just believed them. She was gaslit into it, blah, blah, blah. I'm just going to read you what she's claiming. She's not saying that someone talked me into it or someone told me or, you know, I was gaslit or that she thinks she was gaslit or she doesn't remember clearly. This is what she's saying in her own lawsuit. It is against Jennifer Tufts, Aaliyah Goodhart, Zobadiah Diaz, Rebecca Gelada. These are all doctors. We heard their names earlier. Astor Mental Health, Inc., South Shore Health System, McLean Hospital, and Women and Infants Hospital of Rhode Island. So basically everybody she saw. This is an action for personal injury and loss of consortium brought by Lindsay M. Clancy. Lindsay, or the plaintiff, this action arises from the catastrophic failure of multiple medical providers to properly diagnose, treat, and monitor Lindsay's severe postpartum psychiatric condition, despite her repeated and desperate pleas for help. Now, this is also going to give her the most generous take because it's her lawsuit. This is not a response or, you know, it's not been litigated. Her repeated desperate pleas for help and her family's persistent efforts to obtain adequate care. Lindsay Clancy did everything a mother in her situation could do. She recognized something was wrong with her. She sought medical treatment. She went to emergency room. She called crisis hotline. She admitted herself to hospital. She took medications prescribed to her. She communicated her worsening symptoms to her provider. She told them the medications were making her worse. Her husband advocated for her. Her family drove from out of state to help take care of her children. And still, the medical system failed her completely. The defendants, Dr. Tufts, Dr. Goodhart, Dr. Diaz, Nurse Gelada, Astor, South Shore, McLean, and Women and Infants, each failed to properly diagnose Lindsay's bipolar disorder with postpartum onset and instead subjected her to a disorganized, uncoordinated course of polypharmacy that exacerbated her condition and precipitated a severe psychotic break. Lindsay's clinical course was significantly complicated by polypharmacy and the involvement of multiple prescribers, which in effect obscured an accurate diagnosis and appropriate intervention and treatment, even though Lindsay did all that she could to obtain the appropriate treatment. The psychotropic medications Lindsay received appear to have paradoxically exacerbated her underlying psychiatric vulnerability, precipitating a state of manic psychosis characterized by compelling command hallucinations. The tragedy that followed was the direct and proximate result of the defendant's collective negligence in failing to recognize obvious warning signs, coordinate care, properly diagnose Lindsay's conditions, and provide treatment that met the applicable standard of care. As a direct result of the defendant's negligence, Lindsay suffered catastrophic physical injuries, including permanent paralysis. She lost her 3 beloved children, Cora Marie Clancy, Dawson William Clancy, Callan Patrick Clancy. Lindsay now faces a lifetime of physical disability, psychological trauma, and the unbearable grief of waking up every day knowing she killed her own children, all of which could have been prevented had defendants provided competent medical care. All right, so that's the opening, okay? It lays it out pretty, and then it goes into all the parties. So Lindsay is a resident in Massachusetts at all relevant times, resided in Duxbury, Massachusetts with her husband Patrick and their 3 children. Lindsay was a registered nurse who worked in labor and delivery department of Massachusetts General Hospital. She is the mother of Corey Marie Clancy, Dawson Clancy, Callan Patrick Clancy. Jennifer Tufts is a psychiatrist registered to practice medicine in the Commonwealth of Massachusetts with a usual place of business in Braintree, Norfolk County, Massachusetts. Dr. Goodhart is a psychiatrist registered to practice medicine in the Commonwealth of Massachusetts with the usual place of business at McLean Hospital, 115th Street, Belmont, Middlesex County, Massachusetts. Dr. Goodhart was the attending psychiatrist who authored and signed Lindsay's physician discharge summary on January 5th following Lindsay's 5-day inpatient admission. Dr. Diaz is a psychiatrist registered to practice medicine in the state of Rhode Island with a usual place of business at the Women and Infants Hospital, 101 Dudley Street, Providence, Rhode Island. Dr. Diaz was the attending physician who evaluated Lindsay at the Women and Infants Day Hospital program on December 20th. CMP Gelada, Nurse Gelada, is a certified nurse practitioner registered to practice medicine in the Commonwealth of Massachusetts with the usual place of business of Weymouth, Norfolk County, Massachusetts. Defendants Astor Mental Health, Inc. is a Massachusetts professional corporation with a principal place of business in Braintree, Norfolk, Massachusetts. Astor employed Dr. Tufts and is vicariously liable for her negligent acts and omissions. South Shore Health System, Massachusetts nonprofit corporation, Norfolk County, Massachusetts. South Shore employed Nurse Gelada and operated the perinatal behavioral program through which Lindsay received treatment. South Shore is vicariously liable for the negligent acts and omissions of its employees. McLean Hospital, psychiatric hospital located in Belmont. McLean provided inpatient psychiatric treatment to Lindsay from January 1st through January 5th of 2023. McLean employed Dr. Goodhart and is vicariously liable for her negligent acts and omissions. Women and Infants of Rhode Island is a hospital located in Providence, Rhode Island. Women and Infants operated a partial hospitalization day program. So it was like only a day program. It wasn't like an inpatient overnight thing. A day program for patients with postpartum depression where Lindsay sought treatment in late December 2022. Seems like that would have been the biggest one. I want to know why those doctors are like, it's not a good fit for her. It's a postpartum day program where you go there every fucking day. That doesn't make any sense to me. And then call her husband back and be like, you need to come pick her up and we want to talk to you. It's not a good fit. What was not the fit? Whatever. Women and Infants employed Dr. Diaz and is vicariously liable for her negligent acts and omissions. Then they go into jurisdiction and venue. We know all that. It's probably a good jurisdiction, probably a good venue. Facts. Here we go. Are we ready? Lindsay Clancy, born August 11, 1990, was raised in Wallingford, Connecticut. Her formative years were characterized by consistent academic excellence, culminating in a distinguished record throughout college and rigorous accelerated nursing program at Massachusetts General Hospital. That explains the note-taking. It seems like she was a really good student. She was in an accelerated program, and she cataloged and kept all the data from everything. Who keeps a baby nap journal, you know? Whatever. Lindsay's 9-year tenure as a labor and delivery nurse at Massachusetts General Hospital demonstrated notable professional competence and personal fulfillment. She was passionate about nursing and dedicated to her patients. Lindsay married Patrick Clancy in December 2016, and they established their family home in Duxbury, Massachusetts. Lindsay and Patrick had 3 children. Cora Clancy, born December 24th, 2017. Dawson Clancy, born September 30th, 2019. And Callan Clancy, born May 26, 2022. As described by Patrick Clancy, before Lindsay became ill, she was dedicated to being a mom, even over-dedicated. She worked twice as hard as most. She rarely took a break to rest. Lindsay loved our children and never took her frustration out on the kids. She remained as affectionate with the kids as she always had been. Lindsay's mother-in-law, Susan Clancy, testified in grand jury proceedings that she loved everything about Lindsay. She was a fun-loving, doting wife and mother. She loved her kids, and she was a nurturing mother who smiled all the time. Lindsay's sister, Allison Olga, described Lindsay as the kind of person who cares deeply for the people she loves. She shows up for celebrations and writes handwritten notes to show her love and appreciation. She's also there in times of need and finds just the right words to provide comfort and support. Sorry, I got sidetracked on that one. Finds just the right words to provide comfort and support. Lindsay consistently conveyed profound affection for her children and her husband. She had never previously engaged in any form of physical harm towards her children. Okay? Prior postpartum history. During Lindsay's first pregnancy with Cora, she experienced anxiety due to abnormal ultrasound finding that later resolved. She experienced some anxiety during the postpartum period, but returned to part-time work and breastfed for 1 year without incident. During the postpartum period of the following her second child, Dawson's birth, Lindsay was initially elated with increased energy. Patrick described that she had manic behavior for multiple days. In October 2020, she had an episode of decluttering to simplify her life, obsessively cleaning and discarding items. She said it felt amazing on top of things. Her thoughts raced, and she constantly felt pressure to be active. That was when they were asking him about the garage clean out, where they cleaned out everything in their garage. They were selling it on Facebook, get rid of shit. That's like a manic episode. I don't think they really recognized it as like bipolar mania, but it was a manic episode, now looking back on it. After her second pregnancy, anxiety emerged at approximately 2 months postpartum. Although Lindsay was offered Zoloft by a psychiatrist, she declined due to concerns about breastfeeding. Her symptoms resolved through exercise, healthy diet, meditation, and several therapy sessions. So that's the second pregnancy. These prior postpartum episodes include the hypomanic symptoms following Dawson's birth, including the hypomanic symptoms following Dawson's birth, were critical indicators that should have alerted competent psychiatric providers to the risk of bipolar disorder and the potential for more severe postpartum psychiatric complications following subsequent pregnancies. So they're saying, hey, we should have been looking at this already. She documented it. She talked about it. She knew, and been like, hey, there's a chance that this could get worse. It could get better. It could be about the same, but just know that there's a chance around these other pregnancies. Third pregnancy and initial postpartum. Lindsay gave birth to Callan on May 26 of 2022. Both Patrick and Lindsay took parental leave following Callan's birth. Lindsay demonstrated significant activation and hypomanic behavior, including an extensive program of exercise beginning only 1 week after delivery. She woke every day before the children at 4 a.m. She ran 3 miles. She did spinning for 30 minutes on the Peloton and then 30 minutes of aerobics. On July 4th, 2022, only 5 weeks after delivery, she ran a 5-mile race. Clearly, she had some mania going. Lindsay's sister Allison observed that, unlike her usual sensible self, Lindsay impulsively bought into a Beachbody multi-level marketing scheme. That was the fitness MLM, the Beachbody. She was doing Tae with fucking Billy Blanks. Multi-level marketing scheme, purchasing products to resell. She made videos of her exercise routines and posted them on Facebook and encouraged friends to join the program. When you're like manic, you feel like everybody's on your side and everybody enjoys it and loves it and wants to be like you and do the same things. And, you know, you can't wait to share it with them because they're going to love it so much. And I don't know, it's crazy. But that's the way it is. These early postpartum behaviors constituted a hypomanic episode that, combined with her history following Dawson's birth, should have immediately suggested bipolar disorder to any competent psychiatric provider who obtained an adequate history. So if they were actually talking to her, maybe you would know. Lindsay's desperate efforts to seek help. At approximately 12 weeks postpartum, Lindsay's mood switched suddenly to anxiety and depression. She experienced debilitating anxiety, insomnia, sleeping only approximately 3 hours per night, and exhaustion during the day. She had no motivation and could not exercise. Everything about her body felt heavy and required effort. It was a chore to dress or shower. Her parents came from out of state to help care for the children. Recognizing that something was seriously wrong, Lindsay took the initiative to seek psychiatric care. On September 12th of 2022, she found Dr. Jennifer Tufts online and scheduled an appointment. At her first appointment with Dr. Tufts, Lindsay's Edinburgh postnatal depression scale, EDPS, score was 23, indicating severe depression. Dr. Tufts prescribed Zoloft despite Lindsay's hesitation about medication due to breastfeeding concerns. Lindsay waited approximately 2 weeks before taking the medication, still concerned about its effects on breastfeeding, but ultimately began taking Zoloft in mid-October of 2022 because she knew she needed the help. After increasing the Zoloft dose from 25 milligrams to 50 milligrams as prescribed, Lindsay experienced a severe adverse reaction. She did not sleep for 48 hours, had racing thoughts, worsening anxiety, and felt, quote, awful. This dramatic departure from her previous sleep patterns was an obvious warning sign of medication-induced activation consistent with bipolar disorder. Lindsay promptly reported these symptoms to Dr. Tufts on October 20th of 2022. Rather than recognizing the significance of this reaction and conducting appropriate testing to determine why Lindsay had such an adverse response to a relatively low dose of medication, Dr. Tufts simply discontinued the Zoloft and prescribed Ativan and Benadryl for sleep. So instead of trying to get to the bottom of this, they claim that she's just like, well, then stop taking that. Take Ativan and Benadryl. Okay. Even after carefully tapering these medications, Lindsay's profound insomnia persisted, accompanied by distressing cardiac palpitations. Her condition continued to deteriorate. On November 16, 2022, Lindsay's insomnia had become so severe that she took herself to the emergency room at South Shore Hospital seeking help. She reported insomnia, anxiety, and palpitations. The ER doctor prescribed trazodone for sleep, but it was not effective. Patrick's mother, a nurse at South Shore Hospital, contacted the South Shore Perinatal Behavioral Program on November 20th, 2022, seeking additional help for Lindsay. Nurse practitioner Julie Paul reached out to Lindsay. Lindsay reported to Nurse Paul that she was very frustrated and scared, experienced extreme insomnia, averaging only 3 hours per night, and having racing thoughts. Nurse Paul prescribed Prozac on November 21st of 2022. After merely 4 days on Prozac, Lindsay reported that the medication intensified her insomnia. She immediately informed her providers, and the Prozac was discontinued. This is the second antidepressant that had caused activation and worsening insomnia, a critical red flag for bipolar disorder that the providers failed to recognize. On November 25th, 2022, Nurse Paul prescribes 3 different medications: Ambien, Remeron, and Klonopin. On November 26, 2022, after taking Remeron, Lindsay experienced dissociation, perceiving the world around her as unreal, distorted, and distant. She was unable to determine what was real. She became disoriented, forgetful, confused, and disconnected from her own body. She was unable to drive and unable to be left alone. Lindsay reported alarming symptoms to her providers on November 28, 2022. So 3 days later, she says, hey, noting she was still struggling, sleeping only 3 to 4 hours and feeling disoriented and forgetful. On November 29th, the next day, Lindsay began treating with Nurse Gelada. Lindsay reported that she was anxious and frightened about what is happening and that she blamed herself. Nurse Gelada correctly considered a bipolar presentation and prescribed Seroquel, an antipsychotic and mood stabilizer. After starting Seroquel, Lindsay's condition took a dramatic turn for the worse. She developed suicidal ideation, which is a fucking side effect, and began experiencing what she described as intrusive thoughts, which were actually auditory hallucinations. The voice said, "I will not be the same. I want to die." Lindsay openly communicated her escalating internal turmoil to her husband, her parents, and her providers. She described her emotional state as emotionless and like a zombie, attributing this profound affective blunting to the Seroquel. On December 2nd, so what are we talking about, 4 or 5 days later? Lindsay reported to Nurse Gelada that she had lost 15 pounds, had no appetite, was experiencing panic attacks and confusion, and had a lack of attention over the past 4 days. On December 4th, 2 days later, Lindsay was so frightened by the hallucination that she called the New Bedford suicide hotline seeking help. She was told there was no emergency because she said she had no specific plan on how she would kill herself. Next day, December 5th, Lindsay met virtually with Aspire Crisis Support clinician, again seeking help. She was told that she did not meet the criteria for inpatient treatment because she did not have a suicide plan. Next day, December 6, 2022, Patrick attended an appointment with Lindsay and Nurse Gelada. Patrick connected Lindsay's suicidal thoughts to the Seroquel. He told Nurse Gelada that Lindsay is 10,000 times worse since she has taken the medication, and asked if they could get Lindsay off medications and start from scratch to see what's going on. He asked if there could have been some mistake, like using the wrong medication. Nurse Gelada acknowledged it is possible. Despite this, Nurse Gelada continued to increase the Seroquel dosage to 400 milligrams per day. On December 13th, 2022, Lindsay remained deeply depressed. So this is 5 days later, had no motivation and still had suicidal ideation. She wanted, quote, this to be all over. 2 days later, on December 15th, Patrick called Nurse Gelada's office to report that Lindsay has had a devastating week and that it was the worst day for Lindsay. She had horrible thoughts all day. Lindsay had auditory hallucinations all day, every day. She felt debilitated, not interested in anything, exhausted, and could not get out of bed. The hallucinations were loud and continued all day long, saying, it will never be the same. I will never be me again. You are damaged. You will never be the same. The only option is to die. Lindsay told her husband, Patrick, I have thoughts of harming the kids. She also told her mother about these thoughts. Because she was in a psychotic state, Lindsay also had paranoid delusions that people could hear her thoughts and that she would be locked in a hospital and have her children taken away from her. Lindsay's escalating suicidal thoughts prompted a visit to Mass General Hospital emergency room on December 20th, 2022, where she sought help. The ER suggested either admission to McLean or partial hospitalization day program at Women and Infants Hospital in Rhode Island. Women and Infants Hospital. On December 20th, 2022, Lindsay admitted herself to the partial hospitalization day program at Women's and Infants Hospital in Providence, Rhode Island, a program intended for patients with postpartum depression. This is yet another active step Lindsay took to seek help for her worsening condition. Lindsay's chief complaint at Women and Infants was, I feel numb and crazy depressed. She reported feeling crazy, depressed, numb to all emotion, can't feel love, that her life is becoming a disaster, and that she could feel fear, and that she was messed up beyond repair. She had lost 15 pounds in a month, no motivation, and reported that it takes all the effort in the world just to breathe. Her EPDS, which is the postnatal depression score at Women and Infants, was 23, indicating severe depression. Her generalized anxiety disorder 7 item, a GAD-7 score, was 21, higher than the threshold for the most severe category. So she was basically in the maxing out both scales. Despite those severely elevated scores, Dr. Diaz, the attending psychiatrist, I want to keep saying psychiatric doctor or something, psychiatrist at Women and Infants, concluded that Lindsay had no postpartum depression and rejected a bipolar disorder diagnosis because no history of hypomania or psychosis or family history. This conclusion was negligent because Dr. Diaz failed to obtain an adequate history. Dr. Diaz's own notes documented that Lindsay's sister had experienced postpartum anxiety, a relevant family psychiatric history that should have been explored. Had Dr. Diaz properly inquired about Lindsay's early postpartum period, she would have learned of the hypomanic episode that began immediately after delivery. Dr. Diaz also failed to recognize that Lindsay's providers had previously considered bipolar disorder, as documented in Lindsay's records, stating that she was started on Seroquel and concerned for bipolar disorder. Dr. Diaz accepted Lindsay and Patrick's belief that her symptoms were due to over-medication and recommended weaning the Seroquel. The clinical team at Women and Infants posited that Lindsay's symptoms were more pharmacologically induced than purely depressive. Dr. Diaz's assessment plan documented that the WIH-DHP is not a suitable treatment facility, Women and Infants Hospital, for Lindsay. Yet Dr. Diaz failed to recommend or arrange an appropriate alternative treatment and instead discharged Lindsay after only 1 day of treatment with inadequate follow-up care. That's pretty crazy. That's the place. Like, that's the place you go. It's a day program that specializes only in women and infants and postpartum depression. Like, what the fuck? Women and Infants Hospital determined that its day program was not appropriate for Lindsay and reached out to Nurse Gelada to discuss Lindsay's care. Nurse Gelada did not never responded to them. So her doctor that she's seeing after she goes there never responds back. Dr. Diaz and Women's and Infants' negligent failure to properly evaluate Lindsay, obtain an adequate psychiatric history, and recognize the signs of bipolar disorder with postpartum onset resulted in a missed opportunity to provide appropriate treatment. Their recommendation to wean Seroquel without providing a proper alternative treatment plan to ensure adequate follow-up care contributed to Lindsay's further deterioration. McLean Hospital, Dr. Goodhart. Following the Seroquel reduction recommended by women and infants, Lindsay's suicidal ideation resurged. By December 29th, Lindsay told her husband, "I can't tough it out anymore. I need to go to McLean." On December 30th, 2022, Lindsay went to MGH emergency room, which suggested admission to McLean Hospital. On December 31st, 2022, Lindsay admitted herself to McLean Hospital, the nation's top-ranked psychiatric hospital, due to her severe depression and suicidal ideation. Lindsay's admitting symptoms included passive suicidal ideation, feeling detached, hopeless, depression, no appetite or energy to perform activities of daily living, no motivation, racing thoughts, inability to recognize her own thoughts, memory problems, anxiety, and insomnia. Her insight and judgment were documented as limited. McLean placed Lindsay on a locked unit with 15-minute suicide checks. However, the care she received was grossly inadequate. She was admitted on New Year's Eve, and there was a skeleton crew because of the holiday. Patients spent their evening doing puzzles and coloring. Nurses stayed behind a desk in glass. Lindsay did not see a doctor until January 3rd, 3 days after she was admitted. On January 3rd, 2023, the doctor advised Lindsay to stop Seroquel and the benzos and prescribed trazodone for sleep. Seems like everybody's just kind of coming in and making their guess, doesn't it? Everybody's just coming in and making a different guess. I don't know. On January 4th, Lindsay asked if she could go home for Cora's birthday. Because her thoughts had improved since the Seroquel decrease, she was approved for discharge. Lindsay was discharged from McLean Hospital on January 5th of 2023 after only a 5-day stay. Dr. Goodhart authored and signed the physician discharge summary approving Lindsay's release despite her documented limited insight, judgment, and suicidal ideations. Lindsay was returned to the care of the same outpatient providers who had been providing allegedly substandard care. After discharge, Dr. Goodhart from McLean called Lindsay and spoke for only 10 minutes, offering names of antidepressants. The staff at McLean suggested amitriptyline, yet another antidepressant, a very class of medication that had repeatedly caused Lindsay to have adverse reactions. When Lindsay was discharged from McLean, she thought, "I was just in the best hospital in the country, so there was not much hope." She decided she must appear like she was okay and had to do her best. Dr. Goodhart's and McLean's hospital negligent failure to properly evaluate Lindsay, obtain an adequate psychiatric history, provide sufficient inpatient care during her brief admission, and ensure appropriate discharge planning and follow-up care directly contributed to the tragic events that followed. Dr. Goodhart, as the discharging physician, approved Lindsay's release after only 5 days, despite her documented, quote, limited, which is what they wrote on the paper, limited insight and judgment, and her ongoing severe symptoms. Back to Dr. Tufts. Lindsay returned to treatment with Dr. Tufts on January 6, 2023, the day after her discharge from McLean. Dr. Tufts diagnosed Lindsay with chronic major depressive disorder, single episode, moderate. She recorded that Lindsay's psychiatric condition was deteriorating and that her medication was not effective. Despite her poor condition, Dr. Tufts met with Lindsay for only 17 minutes. At Cora's birthday party on January 7th, 2023, Lindsay was not herself. She smiled, but could not converse. She avoided talking and could not make sense of what others were saying. Lindsay's hallucinations resumed within 1 week of her discharge from McLean. On January 10th, 2023, Lindsay returned to Dr. Tufts and was switched to Valium for a benzo taper. Dr. Tufts indicated that at some point we will add an antidepressant. On January 16th, 6 days later, Lindsay was still experiencing debilitating depression. She had to force herself to do anything. The hallucinations continued, quote, "You should harm the children. You should kill yourself. You will never be the same. The only option is to die." She felt like a zombie. Dr. Tufts prescribed amitriptyline, another antidepressant at 10 milligrams a day. On January 20th, 2023, because Lindsay was having such awful thoughts and was so numb and emotionless, she researched what is a psychopath to see if she was one and whether there was a cure. On January 23rd, 2023, during another 17-minute appointment, Lindsay reported being a little more anxious with her heart racing and more AM anxiety. Dr. Tufts recorded that Lindsay's mood is the same, flat anxious, that she had no motivation, she was numb, and has to force herself up out of the house. Her sleep and medication efficacy were poor. Her insight was poor. Her psychiatric condition generally was unchanged. Dr. Tufts increased the amitriptyline to 20 milligrams per day. That night, Lindsay did not sleep at all. All right, here we go. The day of. Yeah, my wife's bipolar too. It does suck. You're right, Rocky Coast. All right, here we go. January 24th of 2023. On January 24th, 2023, Lindsay woke severely depressed with suicidal thoughts. She gave the children breakfast. She took Cora to the pediatrician because Cora complained of a stomach ache. Later, she went to the backyard with her children and built a snowman and sent picture to Patrick and her mother. The suicidal, now this is all from her point of view, okay? This is her saying this, not a lot of people are saying she was coached into this. He told her, he was the voice that she heard, blah, blah, blah. This is her in her own lawsuit saying what happened to her. No one's saying this for her, right? She said, I'm with a lawyer, and she's telling him exactly what happened the day of. And it's pretty graphic. Well, it's not like crazy or gory or nothing, but the narrative that's being pushed right now is like, hey, she was fucking out of it, dude. She was coming off the deathbed, and people were telling her, like, you killed your kids, and she just believed it. I don't think that's true, and here's why. The suicidal hallucinations continued all day nonstop. Later in the afternoon, the voice began saying, you should harm the children. Lindsay thought about dinner and realized she had not prepared anything. She asked Patrick about the takeout. She looked at a map to see how long it would take because she did not want to be alone and needed help. As soon as Patrick left to pick up the food, there was a loud, demanding, repetitious voice saying, this is your last chance. Kill the kids so you can kill yourself. Then in all quotes or all caps, it says, it's your last chance. You have to kill the kids so you can kill yourself. Lindsay felt a force come over her. Now, no one can possibly be saying this but her, right? The lawyer's not saying, well, I noticed, or her husband, or the kid. No one else is. This is her. This is her own testimony about what happened that day, technically, in this lawsuit. Lindsay felt a force come over her. Lindsay experienced command auditory hallucinations. A demanding, powerful male voice explicitly ordered her. She felt an overwhelming, irresistible compulsion to comply, entering a disassociative, dreamlike state where her physical actions felt utterly disconnected from her conscious volition. She perceived her body was just acting, and she was merely watching herself do it. She reported she had no choice but to follow these compelling directives. Lindsay herself described it as, this is her remembering this, not like being coached into it. I lost all control. My body started acting without any control on my part. I was just following commands, all action. This voice demanded action. Lindsay said she then proceeded to strangle each of her children, uttering the words, "Go to God, baby." Following these acts, she undertook a severe suicide attempt, ingesting a substantial quantity of various medications, self-inflicting lacerations to her wrists and neck, and jumping from a second-floor window approximately 20 feet to the ground below. Lindsay suffered catastrophic injuries, including a thoracic spinal cord injury resulting in permanent paralysis below the sternum. She also suffered multiple closed fractures of her cervical and thoracic vertebrae and multiple rib fractures. Cora and Dawson died on January 24th, 2023. Callan succumbed to his injuries and died on January 27th, 2023. Lindsay consistently maintains her actions were compelled by a hallucinatory voice, not a conscious decision, and expresses profound, enduring love for her children. Dr. Margaret Spengeli, clinical professor of psychiatry at Columbia University College of Physicians and Surgeons and the founder of women's programs in psychiatry at Columbia University Medical College, conducted a comprehensive forensic psychiatric evaluation of Lindsay. Dr. Spinelli met with Lindsay for 5 hours at Tewksbury Psychiatric Hospital on June 11, 2024, and subsequently spoke with her by telephone for 3 hours on September 6, 2024. Dr. Spinelli also interviewed Patrick Clancy, Lindsay's sister, Allison Olga, Lindsay's mother, Miss Musgrove, and Lindsay's mother-in-law, Susan Clancy. Dr. Spinelli diagnosed Lindsay with bipolar disorder 1, severe, with psychosis and anxious distress with postpartum onset. Dr. Spinelli concluded that Lindsay had a baseline bipolar disorder with the minimal symptoms after her second childbirth, and that her symptoms worsened after her third birth when she was prescribed an antidepressant. Dr. Spinelli noted that an antidepressant medication can create manic or hypomanic symptoms and mood instability in one who has bipolar illness. This is a well-known response for a person with underlying bipolar disorder. Dr. Spinelli opined that the providers never seemed to communicate with one another and that no one ever asked her to describe the content of her intrusive thoughts, which were in fact hallucinations, and that Lindsay was repeatedly given antidepressants instead of a mood stabilizer. Dr. Spinelli specifically commented on the failures of multiple providers regarding the initial Zoloft reaction. She noted that if practitioners had recognized the hypomanic activation after Zoloft, a second or third antidepressant would not have even been tried. Regarding women and infants, she noted that Dr. Diaz did not review mood symptoms of the last pregnancy and this postpartum period, and did not review hypomanic episode immediately after delivery, which was the beginning of Miss Clancy's postpartum psychosis. Dr. Spinelli concluded she did all that she could to obtain the appropriate treatment. Dr. Paul D. Ziesel, Psych D, a forensic psychologist, also conducted extensive clinical interviews with Lindsay and her parents. Dr. Ziesel was the initial forensic expert to engage Lindsay in the immediate aftermath of the incident. Dr. Ziesel concurred with the assessments of Dr. Spinelli and Dr. Resnick. Dr. Ziesel opined to a reasonable degree of psychological certainty that Miss Clancy's clinical course was significantly complicated by polypharmacy and the involvement of multiple prescribers, which in effect obscured an accurate diagnosis and appropriate intervention and treatment. Furthermore, the psychotropic medications she received appear to have paradoxically exacerbated her underlying psychiatric vulnerabilities, precipitating a state of manic psychosis characterized by compelling command hallucinations. Dr. Ziesel noted that Lindsay's parents conveyed profound shock and devastation at the depth of her psychological decompensation, indicating a prior lack of complete comprehension regarding the actual severity of her underlying illness. This underscores how the medical providers failed to adequately communicate the severity of Lindsay's condition or to take appropriate action. So she's not claiming that she didn't do it, that she was gaslit into it, that he ran home and killed the kids and blamed it. She's claiming she remembers this, that she heard the voice, she went down there, she strangled them, she said go to God to each one of them after she strangled them. She's saying it was like an out of body, like it wasn't her own actions, but she was there. But still, like, I don't think I was coaxed into this, I was gaslit, someone told me I did. I think that falls on its face when you read this, all of this. The standard of care required defendants to obtain a complete psychiatric history, including detailed inquiry into Lindsay's mood and symptoms during and after her prior pregnancies. Had any of the providers done so, she would have learned the hypomanic episodes that followed her second and third deliveries, which were critical indicators of bipolar disorder postpartum onset. The standard of care required defendants to recognize that Lindsay's severe adverse reaction to Zoloft, characterized by activation, worsening insomnia, and racing thoughts, was a red flag for bipolar disorder. The standard of care further required that after a second antidepressant, the Prozac, caused a similar activation, defendants should have diagnosed bipolar disorder and prescribed a mood stabilizer rather than continuing to try antidepressants. The standard of care required defendants to conduct appropriate testing, including blood plasma levels of medication, to determine why Lindsay was having adverse reactions to relatively low doses of medications and whether she was a slow metabolizer. The standard of care required defendants to follow the start low and go slow principle when prescribing medications, particularly given Lindsay's demonstrated sensitivity to psychotropic medications. Instead, defendants added and accelerated medications in an ad hoc manner that radically increased the risk to Lindsay. The standard of care required defendants to inquire into the content of Lindsay's intrusive thoughts, which were actually hallucinations. Had they done so, they would have recognized the psychotic nature of her symptoms and the danger she posed to herself and her children, including the danger of postpartum psychosis. The standard of care required defendants to coordinate care among themselves and with other treating providers. Instead, the providers failed to communicate with one another, and Nurse Gelada did not even return the women and infants' call to discuss Lindsay's care. The standard of care required defendants to seek collateral information from Lindsay's family members, who could have provided crucial information about the severity of her condition and her functioning at home. Standard of care required defendants to recognize that Lindsay, as a patient, was suffering from severe postpartum mental health disorders with suicidal ideation, posed a risk of harming not only herself but also her children. The standard of care required Dr. Goodhart and McLean Hospital to provide adequate inpatient care during Lindsay's brief admission, properly evaluate her condition, and ensure appropriate discharge planning, rather than discharging her after 5 days with limited insight and judgment and suicidal ideations back to the same providers who had already been providing inadequate care. The standard of care required Dr. Diaz and women and infants to properly evaluate Lindsay, obtain an adequate psychiatric history, including inquiry into her early postpartum period, and recognize the signs of bipolar disorder rather than dismissing her severe depression scores and recommending medication changes without any proper follow-up. Defendants knew or should have known that Lindsay presented a real, clear, and present danger of harm to herself and her young children. Defendants' collective failures to comply with the standard of care more likely than not directly and proximately caused the injuries suffered by Lindsay, including Lindsay's killing her children and attempt to kill herself. Count 1, negligence, medical malpractice, personal injury. Count 2, loss of parental consortium. Count 3, loss of spousal consortium. Count 4, vicarious liability. Prayer for relief. Enter a judgment in her favor in the counts. Award plaintiff damages, including punitive damages allowed by law for the personal injuries suffered by Lindsay Clancy, including her physical injuries, psychological trauma, loss of consortium with her children and her spouse, and all of the other damages. Oh, sorry, it jumped pages. Give me just a second. Loss of consortium just means like loss of like companionship or whatever. Like you took this away from me. I don't have this bond with him anymore. Sorry, I'm back. Loss of consortium with her children and her spouse and all the damages permitted by law, plus interest as allowed by law from the date of this complaint, plus costs and attorney fees. Grant such other and further relief as this court deems just and appropriate. Can this be used in the criminal trial? Sure. I mean, it's just her. I mean, she takes a stand, she's going to say the same things. This doesn't help the prosecutors, though. If anything, the prosecutors want to avoid this like the plague. But if she takes a stand, I'm assuming this is what she's going to say. I had voices all day long. They were telling me to do this. It was an out-of-body experience. It wasn't like it was me, blah, blah, blah. I don't think what I want to point out is the narrative online is like, she was almost dead, and then someone comes up and tells her, hey, you killed your kids, and she talks herself into it. Mariah said, like, if somebody was drunk driving and they were just like shit-faced drunk, and they wake up in the hospital and they say, you ran over somebody and killed them, she would believe them. But that doesn't seem like this. It seems like she remembers the words she said to the kids while she was strangling them, the thoughts she had all day, when she planned this, why she Googled how long the drive would take, because she was afraid of being alone with them too long because she knew these thoughts were happening all day. The voices kicked in as soon as he left. He heard an overwhelming voice that compelled her to take action now. Like, this is not, she's been gaslit into it. I think that's a narrative that needs to be dropped. The TikTok narrative that she was gaslit and he talked her into it because he wanted to remarry. I don't know. Whatever the fuck they're saying. None of that seems to be true. She remembers these actions. And she has spoken about these actions and she took them. She remembers taking them. It's not like a blackout. She talked herself into it. She doesn't really remember, but I guess it was me because I was there. She remembers doing this. And even the words she said to the kids when she strangled them, to go be with God. I think the medical system failed her for sure. I feel like her husband probably should have been more involved. I mean, I don't know. I feel like hopefully I would have been more involved. I don't know. She kind of got fucked. There you go. That's where we're at on the Lindsay Clancy trial. Update. I don't know if there's, let's see what happened today. Defense grills psychiatrist over Lindsay Clancy's treatment.
Just like to start off just by asking, District Attorney asked you about resources that were provided to her.
I know there's an article I'm supposed to be reading about the reflecting pool. I'll get to it in just a second.
We had discussed going on Psychology Today where
I'm sorry?
she was aware of the website Psychology Today.
Website?
Yes, she was given the name of a case manager through her insurance who she could contact for assistance in finding new providers.
So other than telling her about the website for Psychology Today and talking about...
This is the one she checked herself into for 5 days, and then because she came in on New Year's Eve, she didn't even see anybody for 3 days.
About her insurance company and what they would allow for her to reach out for what, other providers? Is that what it was?
Can you restate that?
Sure, of course. You referenced her insurance company.
Yes.
And that's a major consideration in medical treatment, is it not? What a person has for insurance?
No. I don't understand what you mean by
I know what insurance is. I mean, as far as like a person paying their bills for medical treatment or psychiatric treatment.
The insurance is important because who you can see is limited by what insurance you have.
So that's what I was asking as far as the insurance. You referenced that on the resources, when the DA asked you about resources, and I asked you what were the resources, and you said going on the website for Psychology Today, right?
Yes.
And that you spoke to her about her insurance, right?
We gave her the name of a case manager who she could contact and her telephone number in case she wanted to find other providers. They would be able to look at their database and figure out what providers would be within the distance she was comfortable with, whether they were male or female, if she had a preference, and if she had any preference about any specialization.
They just kicked her out and gave her a case manager, basically.
Okay. And in reference to the insurance...
One lady brought up a medication to her and told her to Google it. When she had questions about it, they told her to Google. Could you imagine your doctor being like, I want to try on this new medication. You're like, well, what's it do? And he's like, well, you can Google it.
You answered the question about insurance. I'm just asking, what is the involvement of insurance in that offer of resources?
I don't understand your question.
Right, maybe I didn't understand your answer. That's why I apologize. You had indicated that in addition to telling her to go on the website for Psychology Today, that you spoke about her insurance and other providers that would be permitted, I guess, under her insurance.
Not every patient, the fact that she had a case manager at Blue Cross Blue Shield was an added benefit because they could assist her in finding providers. Okay. That's what I meant.
All right. Other than the case manager from Blue Cross Blue Shield and to do research off of the website for Psychology Today, what resources were provided to this woman?
There are numerous resources that are printed on the after visit summary. I don't know each and every one of them, but I think they would be in the medical record.
Okay.
All hospitals have this little discharge packet that say, like, you had a fever. Here's ways to treat fever. Here's some of the over-the-counter medications you might take. Please discuss it with your doctor. Here's how a sprain works. Here's how, this. It's just like, it's like wiki medicine that you take home to treat with.
And that's something that is provided to a patient when they leave?
Yes.
She came in on a voluntary, is that correct? In other words, I know she was transported by an ambulance, but nevertheless it was that she and her husband Patrick wanted her to be treated at McLean, correct?
She came in and signed in on a voluntary.
In other words, there were no orders of a court, no judge ordering that she be committed or anything like that. Is that correct?
Yes.
All right. And she came in on, was it New Year's Eve? January 1st?
Yes.
And do you remember what time she came in?
I think she arrived at the CEC around 4.
Now, would you agree that on New Year's Eve in McLean Hospital, that ward is pretty much running on a skeleton crew?
I can't speak to something I'm not there.
Well, obviously you're not there, but what about other people? Was it skeleton crew, New Year's Eve?
I would have to ask somebody who was there.
Well, you've worked there for what, 7 years?
5.
5 years. And what is the ward that she was on?
AB1 South.
81 South?
A as in apple, B as in boy, 1 South.
South. And how many doctors work at AB South, on whatever shifts that you may have?
There are 4 psychiatrists that assign who work on AB1 South.
Now, sorry, go ahead.
Yes, that's it.
And does that include you?
Yes.
And approximately how many nurses work on AB South?
I wouldn't know, but I know that there is a nurse assigned to each team and that there are 4 teams. Sometimes, yeah, in general.
4 teams on AB South. right?
Yes.
Okay. And when you say a team, that consists of what? A psychiatrist, a nurse, perhaps, or what?
A psychiatrist, a nurse, a social worker, and an assigned mental health worker.
And what are the shifts that this team would work?
There are 3 shifts.
Okay. And would that be like, 7 to 11, or 11 to 4, that type of thing?
I think there's 7-hour shifts or 8-hour shifts. I don't know the exact times.
All right. And are you assigned a shift, or do you just go whenever you want?
We are not assigned shifts.
And when she was presented to the hospital, she went through that initial evaluation that you told us about, the CEC. Is that correct?
Like holidays and shit. I know they're not going to call it a skeleton crew, but that's what happens at a hospital. Some of the worst times to be in a fucking hospital is like the holidays and shit. It's already fucking depressing. Nobody wants to be there. The people that are there, like the fucking people that didn't have family or wanted the overtime or on a shit list. Like it sucks being in the hospital during fucking holidays, even if they are paying shift premium.
I'm sorry.
CEC, maybe you were talking about the CEC?
Yeah, can you repeat the question?
Sure.
It's not her fault. She just said, hey, I need to go somewhere now. And it just happened to be New Year's Eve, but still.
She admitted herself and was escorted onto AB South. That's where she was evaluated?
She was evaluated in the CEC by the psychiatrist. Then she came to the unit and was seen by Dr. Madwal later the same day. So she met 2 psychiatrists on January 1st.
Okay. So you have a woman that has admitted herself to McLean on New Year's for help, right?
Yes.
And she was evaluated at the CEC. Is that on that ward, or is that a different part of the hospital?
It's a different part.
Okay. And how long does that evaluation typically take?
I can't speak to that. I don't work in the CEC.
What do you do in the CEC? What happens in the CEC? Does this person sit down and they get interviewed, or what do they do?
There's a full psychiatric evaluation.
And a full psychiatric evaluation consists of what?
A chief complaint or history of, basically a history of present illness, which would be what brings the person into the hospital.
I'm going to say this, and it's going to piss everybody off because you're not going to be able to unhear it. She speaks with her accent. I'm not making fun of that. Her cadence is the same cadence that Elon Musk speaks with. I'm going to bring it down to normal speed. She speaks with Elon Musk's cadence.
A chief complaint or history of, so basically
a little stutter and backstep,
illness, which would be what brings the person into the hospital.
Okay.
They review past psychiatric history, substance use history, social history, family history. They do a mental status exam, and then they make an assessment.
That little, like they say a bunch of words, and there's like a then like a backstep, then a bunch of words, and like a and almost like suck their teeth in a backstep.
And they would be the CEC?
Psychiatrist.
And that would be the psychiatrist that you're referring to?
Dr. Outlaw.
Dr. Outlaw. Now, how long does a CEC typically take?
I do not know. It depends on the speed of the person seeing the patient.
I imagine that at some point, a psychiatrist or a social worker or somebody must get into the prior history that the patient had prior to coming to your doorstep, right?
That is a part of the evaluation, yes.
Okay. And you had a chance as a...
Y'all want to know, while we're on Elon Musk, y'all want us to know something wild that I fucking learned today? That Congress went back and reviewed the Doge cuts. And from the Doge cuts, from their own documents, the claims they said to cut, that 96.2, less than 4% of their cuts could be verified as real. 96.2 of their cuts were unverifiable, made up. The receipts didn't make sense. They claimed contracts that were cut that were never cut. They claimed contracts that were cut that never even existed.
The district attorney asked you as to whether or not...
We knew it was a lie. I just didn't know it was that bad.
The medical records that involved Lindsay Clancy's treatment at McLean Hospital for the 4.5 days, right?
I was able to review the CEC note, which had an excerpt of the MGH evaluation and the notes that were available to me since January 1st at McLean.
Now, as a psychiatrist, I mean, when she goes to the hospital, she's your patient, right? She's your patient.
Yes.
Yes. And as a doctor, what you want to do is get all the information that's available on why this person is in your locked ward, right?
Yes.
So did you do inquiry into her prior history, or was that left to the CEC person or the social worker?
That is part of the evaluation.
And the evaluation?
The CEC is just intake, okay? Clinical Evaluation Center. That's it. It's just the intake.
in the CEC.
And when I see her as well.
All right. So do you sometimes, when I say you, I mean you or the social worker or the CEC person, do you talk to people like third party? I think you said third party contacts?
Yes.
All right.
The social worker does.
Okay. So, and you reviewed the records. So when did the social worker talk to the first psychiatrist that she went to see?
Yeah, 3.8% of the time they were telling the truth.
The social worker contacted Patrick.
And could prove it.
So he contacted Patrick, and that Patrick gave some history about the benzodiazepines that he was concerned about, and he thought she wasn't getting good medical care. Is that correct?
Yes.
All right. You know that she had medical treatment before she came to McLean?
Yes.
Okay. Who was her psychiatrist?
The nurse practitioner she was seeing prior to coming to McLean, I was aware of that person.
Would that be nurse practitioner Gelada?
Yes.
Did you speak to her?
No.
Did you look at her records?
I did not have access to them.
Why not?
They aren't in the same medical record system.
Well, the same medical record system is just so that you have access to MGH.
This is part of the problem, though, and this will probably work in her favor, hopefully, in the lawsuit. Like, no doctors were talking to the other doctors. They're telling her to Google shit, being like, you can call this person. Check out Psychiatric America Today. It's a website where you can look up your symptoms.
You have access to Brigham and Women's Hospital because it's all part of some big computer information access you have. What about other healthcare providers? Can you get access to their records?
Not immediately.
Well, how about
You just have to call and request them. You just have to call and talk to that office. Like, she's trying to say, like, oh, I couldn't go into her chart because she works for, like, here would be like she works for Ballad Health, and that's like regional health practices or ETSU physicians or whatever. But all she has to do is call and request them.
if you have a release signed
No doctor's keeping fucking patient records from you.
by a patient under the HIPAA law? You know what the HIPAA law is, obviously, right?
Yes.
And just tell me, what does that actually mean, that a patient allows someone to look at their medical records?
Yes.
And Lindsay was very, very cooperative with you guys, wasn't she?
Yes.
Did anyone ever ask her to sign a HIPAA release for anyone to get access to nurse practitioner Gelada's records?
No.
How about psychiatrist Tuff's records?
No.
How about nurse practitioner Paul's records?
No.
Who's Letitia Dukes?
She was a social worker, I think, that Lindsay saw at South Shore at the perinatal program.
Okay. And do you know when she went to the South Shore, Rhode Island perinatal program?
I know it was prior to admission. I don't remember the exact dates.
Do you know what recommendations that she had received at that point?
No, other than the medication.
Do you know what medication she was actually on when she presented to McLean Hospital?
Seroquel and Valium.
What is it?
Seroquel and Valium.
Seroquel and Valium.
You knew that Dr. Tufts was the first psychiatrist that she actually consulted, correct?
I believe so.
And when again, if you don't know, just say you don't know.
Yes.
Okay. And I think you made reference to the fact, or maybe the DA made reference in questioning you about the fact that she was looking for doctors for some type of medication or something. Is that fair?
That's a very vague statement. I don't know what you mean.
Okay. Well, actually, she saw Dr. Tufts because Dr. Tufts advertised that she was an expert in perinatal care, right?
Objection.
Overruled.
Of course, that was going to get ejected too. She doesn't know why she decided on Dr. Tufts.
Oh, sorry. I wouldn't know why she saw Dr. Tufts.
Do you know what medication Dr. Tufts prescribed to her?
From what Lindsay told me, yes.
What?
Zoloft was the first.
All right. So Dr. Tufts, according to Lindsay, provided her, Lindsay,
Seems like every time they try these antidepressants and she gets this activation for it, that's a red flag. And it was 3 separate times that all should have been red flags for, hey, bipolar disorder.
with Zoloft, which is an SS.
But everybody just keeps trying it and saying, oh, well, we'll bump you up or we'll take you off or we'll do this. But they're not saying, well, another doctor already had me try it. Another doctor already had them try it. Another doctor,
Correct?
It's an antidepressant in that class, yes.
Okay, so when you say an antidepressant in that class,
She needed a mood stabilizer, not an
the
antidepressant.
class would be selective serotonin reuptake inhibitor, right?
Yes.
And that's pretty powerful stuff, isn't it?
I don't know what you mean by powerful.
No? Well, are you supposed to prescribe Zoloft or sertraline to a person that has bipolar?
I think it all depends on what you're seeing when you see the patient.
All right. So it's important, I would imagine then, to be fair in your evaluation of this young woman that came to your hospital for help on New Year's to find out what any evaluations were of her condition, her presentation, her symptomology when she saw that first psychiatrist, Dr. Tufts, right?
Lindsay was cooperative and she was forthcoming. I had no reason to think that she would not provide us with what other providers thought, just like she told us that Tufts said she was worried about bipolar disorder. And
I apologize.
Yeah.
Tufts advised her that she was worried about...
sorry, it was...
Gelada?
Yes.
Okay.
Sorry, thank you.
That's all right, no problem. And again, if you have records you want to look at them, that's fine, because I know it's tough to have all this stuff in your head.
Yes. Thank you.
And so Dr. Tufts prescribed the Zoloft to her.
To be fair, like she doesn't do testimony for a profession. She's probably never testified before. This is, it's not the easiest thing to do years later.
And you knew that right after...
Without fucking putting your foot in your mouth.
The initial prescription of Zoloft, do you know how many milligrams per...
I hope that she gets help. I hope her husband can find some type of way to reintegrate, try to move on. And I hope she wins her fucking lawsuit. And from that lawsuit, fucking other people start paying attention. Like, hey, we can't keep letting people fall through the fucking cracks.
How many milligrams she was prescribed initially by Dr. Tufts?
Lindsay, I think, stated it was 25.
Okay. And then Dr. Tufts increased it to what, 100?
Lindsay said it was increased to 50.
50, all right. So, and again, you're in a, I don't know if it's appropriate to say, but you're in a mental institution, right? That's where you work at McLean Hospital. Okay, and it's a locked ward, right?
Yes.
And she's a patient that's coming to you for help, right?
Yes.
Is it appropriate for a doctor to take what that patient is telling you as a history? Or do you have to verify it or talk to other healthcare providers to make sure that they're not just running off and making something up?
I had no reason to believe that she was not a reliable reporter.
Because she seemed very forthright, right?
Yes.
She seemed very honest in her disclosure of her symptomology, right?
Yes.
One of the things, one of the tools that you in the mental health field have access to is psychiatric testing, right?
Yes.
Okay. You have, for example...
Yeah, well, no. Yeah, she's guilty. She's already said that she killed the kids. They're trying to figure out whether she goes to a hospital or she's going to prison.
One tool, and I think psychologists, and there are psychologists that are on staff, I would imagine, at McLean as well.
No, not on that unit.
As a psychiatrist, you don't administer psychiatric or psychological testing, do you?
No.
All right. But for example, you've got the Beck inventory test, or what's called the MMPI test. You're familiar with those, right?
These are forms and forms that the patient can fill out.
Right. And one of the tests is the MMPI, which is Minnesota Multiphasic Personality Inventory Test, right?
I have heard of that.
Okay. And you know that one of the things that it determines is, if they call it the K-scale, whether or not somebody is lying or minimizing, or not minimizing, but lying about their symptomology, right?
I don't know much about the scale.
Well, that's a tool that can give someone information as to the person's presentation of their symptomology. That would be important.
Whether they're hiding it or overinflating it or downplaying their symptoms.
Their honesty of whether or not they're trying to minimize or whether or not they're trying to falsely project their symptomology, right?
I don't know what you're asking me.
Okay. Were you aware that there were ever any psychological testing administered to Lindsay? MMPI or Beck or anything?
No.
Okay. How many times did she call or reach out to help for a suicide hotline?
I don't know.
Wouldn't that be something important to find out, if the person who you're suggesting was denying suicidality or suicidal ideation upon your evaluation, that she called out to suicide hotlines?
She was
multiple times.
She told us that she was having suicidal thoughts,
right,
but had no intent or plan. So I do know that she was struggling with suicidal ideation.
Right.
She kept saying intrusive thoughts, but no one was narrowing it down to like she was having hallucinations.
To anybody else that you talked to?
They were just thinking, oh, like sometimes, I think the world would be better off without me. Not like there's a voice commanding me to kill my children and myself.
Well, did you talk to anybody else?
I know the social worker talked to Patrick, and he did give the information he gave.
Okay. So what I'm asking is, as you're investigating the history of this patient, you're not aware, no idea that she had reached out on not one but two occasions to a suicide hotline. Is that correct?
Yes.
All right. Did you know that when she was first prescribed the Zoloft by Dr. Tufts at 25 milligrams and increased to 50 milligrams, that she then reported that she was unable to sleep?
She shared that with us. Yeah, I'm sorry. I didn't.
Go ahead, no problem. What is it?
I'm going to let you finish the question.
Okay, thank you. No big deal. It's just that she reported that she went for 48 hours without sleep?
I don't remember that time quoted. I know she had difficulty sleeping.
You indicated in your testimony that, and I quote, I would have preferred to have more information about her sleep patterns, right? you remember saying that?
Following the changes in the medications that we were making.
So sleep pattern would be just what it says, sleep pattern, like you sleep from 9 at night till 7 in the morning or
Yes.
12 at night, whatever your pattern would be, right?
Yes.
And why is a sleep pattern important for you as a psychiatrist trying to evaluate your patient?
Because difficulty sleeping is a symptom of several different conditions, and it can worsen several different conditions.
And you know that she had reported severe anxiety, right?
She was
She could technically remain in a mental health facility forever, right? Each year, they have to come back and prove that she still needs this involuntary treatment. If she's approved for release, it usually comes with pretty strict conditions like monitoring and supervised housing, medication compliance, a intervention team in case something changes.
struggling with anxiety, yes.
Struggling with anxiety, and she was having not just insomnia, but she had very, very severe insomnia, didn't she?
I have intrusive thoughts, very, very, very violent intrusive thoughts every time I see that Dr. J Banana is typing in the chat. I mean, maybe that's overused. Who knows?
She wasn't able to sleep.
And you would prefer to have more information about sleep patterns, is what you said. I'm not putting words in your mouth. That's what you said.
I know that we were able to observe her sleep while she was on the unit. Once she left the unit, I would not know how she was sleeping, which is why we referred her to somebody else so that they could continue to monitor her symptoms.
Obviously. So let's put the time that you are observing her, or that your social workers are
Don't even get me started when it says Astuco is typing.
investigating to whatever extent they did, her background. What were her sleep patterns that were important to you prior to New Year's 2023?
The amount of sleep is important.
Yeah, and you said that. You already said I would have preferred to have more information about her sleep patterns.
After she was if I was going to continue to evaluate her, I would want to observe her sleep is what I meant.
Oh, so you didn't mean that as an evaluator of her prior medical history, trying to get a history of your patient for purposes of diagnosis and treatment, that you wanted to know what her sleep patterns were. You didn't mean that you meant prior?
The history of whether somebody is struggling with insomnia is important, and the patient can relay that to me.
Okay. You ever heard of patients that minimize their symptoms and lie about their symptoms sometimes?
Yes.
Okay. So it's important to corroborate what the person is telling you, right? I mean, you want to talk to somebody else objective to find out what, if any, evidence there is of symptomology.
And we did that with
I'm sorry?
When a patient presents and they're talking to us, it is not just about what they are saying. It's about their body language, their eye contact. You can get a sense of whether a person is being honest or whether they're lying. And
I do not get paid by comments. It may do some with the algorithm. I don't know.
They're going to tell us what is bothering them and what they're concerned about. That's why they're in the hospital.
This woman was in a locked ward. She couldn't walk off your unit, could she?
That is what
She might say anything to get out of there. I did when the VA locked me up.
She was very sick, wasn't she?
I would have said anything. Get the fuck out of there.
I don't know what you mean by very sick.
Get some nicotine.
You indicated that you would assume that she would take what I prescribed. Do you do that with all of your patients? Assume that when they have mental disease or a defect that they would do what they're told?
If they are cooperative, and they have been cooperative and reliable, yes.
One of the things that's referenced would be she stated that she had intrusive thoughts. Remember that?
Yes.
What were the intrusive thoughts?
Never asked.
From what's stated in the medical record, thoughts of suicide.
Okay. And how often would she have the intrusive thoughts?
I don't recall if the frequency.
Would you agree with me that in addition to anxiety and in addition to inability to sleep, that she was in what was self-described as a brain fog, right?
She complained of feeling, you can complain of feeling foggy.
She also complained about that she felt as if she was a zombie, right?
She did not use those words.
Anybody else use that word describing her in your investigation?
No.
Did Patrick tell you that he was concerned about the medications that she had been prescribed over the past 2 or 3 months?
Yes.
And you knew what the medications were that she was prescribed, correct?
She told us.
She told you, okay. And she told you that she was prescribed, in addition to the SSRI Zoloft, that was increased from 25 to 100, that she was then told...
I was aware that...
I'm sorry, 50.
Correct.
She was then told to stop taking the Zoloft by Dr. Tufts, right?
She reported not being able to sleep, and they agreed that she would not take the Zoloft.
Okay, so the answer is yes. She was told to stop taking the Zoloft by Dr. Tufts, right?
I think you would have to ask Dr. Tufts that
Oh, I will. But I'm asking you, as investigating
I
her.
know that she stopped taking the Zoloft
Well,
and
so-
that she saw Dr. Tuff, so I assume that they would have come to that agreement.
All right, so as you're evaluating this patient, you're assuming that she voluntarily stopped taking the Zoloft?
Because she wasn't able to sleep and she discussed it with Dr. Tufts.
She did. You knew that.
She told us she did.
Okay. How many patients have you treated, how many women have you treated that were suffering from postpartum psychosis?
I don't recall. I don't remember, but I think it would stick in my memory, so I don't think that I probably have.
You don't think you probably have?
I don't think I have. I haven't seen any.
How about postpartum depression?
Yes.
How many patients have you treated with postpartum depression?
Over the last 20 years, there are lots of patients I have seen. I don't keep a record of what diagnoses and what people I see.
Now, one of the things that you, when I say you collectively, I mean psychiatrists, psychologists, use in your evaluations and diagnoses of patients would be what's referred to as the DSM, correct?
Yes.
And that would be, DSM, it means Diagnostic Statistical Manual, right?
Yes.
And it started out with DSM-1, then it went to 2, then it went to 2R, meaning revised, and then there were a number of revisions, and now we're all the way up to DSM-5, correct?
Yes.
And DSM-5, also the most recent would be -TR. What does TR mean?
I don't actually.
Text revision. Text revision.
The DSM, the Diagnostic Statistical Manual, is really, it's about this thick, right? If you have a regular sized book. I just have a little one, but.
I think so.
Okay. Do you rely on it? Do you use in your evaluation of patients the Diagnostic Statistical Manual?
The diagnoses are based on the criteria that are stated in there.
Okay, so you do use, for diagnosis purposes, what is stated in the DSM, correct?
Yes.
And it's kind of like a cookbook. I mean, it basically tells you what the ingredients of a particular mental disease or defect would be, right?
Yes.
And you know that it's basically a group of people that get together and they discuss what should or should not be included in the manual that psychiatrists and psychologists use to diagnose patients, right?
Yes.
And they try to keep up to date and stay on top of any recent developments, right?
I would assume. I don't know.
Okay.
I can't speak to this.
That's all right. So here we are in 2026, not 1928. Is postpartum depression in the DSM?
I think it's a subcategory.
You think it's a subcategory of what?
Depression.
Depression. How about psychosis? Postpartum psychosis in 2026. Is that in this manual?
I don't exactly know where it is.
Have you ever seen it in this manual?
I don't recall.
I think it would probably be depressive episode. It would be under depressive episodes brought on by perinatal, whatever.
Paying attention to where it's categorized.
So if you're treating a woman who is, as you put it, postpartum because she had the child, and then you told the jury, well, there's a time frame, a cutoff as to whether or not a person is still postpartum, still subject to mood swings, and still subject to hormone imbalance, and there's a cutoff, is what you said, right?
Different organizations use different definitions.
How about you? You're here for the government testifying in this case. What's your understanding of the cutoff of postpartum, if there is one?
But
It should be postpartum should be onset within 4 weeks of delivery.
DSM-5, it is 4 weeks for ACOG, which is the American Academy of Obstetrics or something. I don't remember what it stands for. It's 12 weeks for the CDC. It's 12 months. For the CDC, it's 12 months.
Okay, so CDC would be Center for Disease Control, right?
Yes.
So they're pretty much all over the place as far as the time frame that a woman can still be involved with postpartum
I think 4 weeks is way too short. But
symptomology, right?
I think that's what the DSM says.
Have you ever heard of a doctor by the name of Meg Spinelli?
No.
Have you read anything about the efforts being made to have the DSM-6 coming out include
Objection.
No, overruled.
postpartum psychosis?
I'm sorry, what's the question?
Have you read or are you aware of efforts being made to include postpartum psychosis in the DSM-6 that will be coming out within a couple of months?
I think I think it's clear that there is question about where it should be placed or categorized.
Okay, so are you aware of any efforts being made to include postpartum psychosis in the DSM-6 when it comes out?
Vaguely.
Vaguely. How vague?
I don't know.
You don't know.
I know that there's question about where it should be categorized and that the DSM is reviewed every time and they try to move things around based on what clinicians.
They say it's like 1 in every 1 or 2,000 new mothers, the psychosis portion of it.
And researchers think.
What, if any, impact does the thyroid have on a woman who has just had a baby and is in the postpartum period, whatever they decided it is, 6 months, 4 months, a year? What impact does the thyroid have?
I am not an internal medicine physician. I am a doctor. What I do know about the thyroid is that the thyroid can affect one's mood and anxiety, whether one is pregnant or not.
So is it fair to say that thyroid levels are important in evaluating a woman who is in postpartum?
It's one tiny component of the entire. It is one component. Okay.
So what does that mean?
It's one of the tests.
It's a tiny component. What does that mean?
Okay. Can you let her finish? Sure. You'll let her finish. Go ahead.
It's one of the tests that can be done when a patient is admitted.
Okay. Was it done by McLean Hospital?
No.
What?
No.
Are you aware that your records indicate that she had thyroid read that are part of the records?
My recall is that the TSH was not from 2022 or 2023.
Right. It was from 2000 and what?
I wouldn't know. You'd have to refer to the record.
So in other words, it was imported into McLean
It was years old.
records.
Our last thyroid test.
I guess computer access or something from MGH years before, right?
Things move forward, yes.
I'm sorry?
Labs do populate from the past.
Okay, so in the past, as a psychiatrist, as her treating psychiatrist at McLean Hospital, trying to do an investigation, evaluate this woman to tell her what your diagnosis was and what you guys can do to help her out, did you look at the thyroid reads?
It was one of the labs that I would have reviewed.
You would have reviewed. Okay, as you're sitting here today, do you have any memory about what the thyroid reads were?
It was within normal limits.
And that would be coming from how long before? A year, 2, 3?
I don't remember.
So there were no actual thyroid tests done while she was at the hospital at McLean, right?
No.
What is the Edinburgh, the EPDS or something like that? What is that?
It's a scale.
A scale. What kind of a scale?
It's a postpartum scale for depression.
And it's used by
It's a
psychiatrists
number scale. The higher the number, the more severe the postpartum depression is.
and psychologists to evaluate the risk factor of a woman who is involved with postpartum, right?
I think it's to assess the level of depression.
In a woman who's involved with postpartum, not some guy that got injured on a soccer field, right?
Yes.
So what does the EPDS mean? I'm probably butchering that. What is that in an acronym for?
Edinburgh's postpartum depression scale or something.
Okay. The Edinburgh postpartum depression scale. Was that administered to Lindsay when she was in for the 4 days and a half that she was in your hospital?
No.
Why not?
Because we don't necessarily administer scales.
You don't necessarily what?
We don't administer scales.
Why? That's an accepted tool to evaluate a patient as a psychiatrist or a psychologist, isn't it?
God damn, he's giving her down the road, bro.
But it doesn't, in the end, determine the diagnosis.
No, of course not, because the doctor who supposedly has access to the person's medical history and all of the other aspects of your evaluation is the one that gives the diagnosis, right?
The psychiatrist makes the diagnosis based on the presentation, the history of the patient.
Right. So far what we've got is a presentation of the patient who was in the watch wards at McLean Hospital, and the presentation was from her, right?
Her presentation is how she presents, how she is observed. It's not what she's telling us.
Well, isn't what she's telling you part of what you consider?
Yes.
Okay. And what Patrick's telling you is part of what you consider?
Yes.
So other than what Lindsay, who was in the locked ward, tells you, and her husband who tells you, what, if any, investigation did you do?
We did not do any additional collateral contact.
And you didn't do any tests either, right? You didn't do it. Did you do a blood test?
Psychiatry as a field is not dependent on blood tests. If it was that simple, it would be much better for everybody. It's based on the evaluation of the patient who's sitting in front of you.
So you're suggesting to this jury that it's not a valid medical step for one to take blood from a person who is on a cocktail of drug medications to find out what their levels are?
No, not a regular procedure at all.
Okay. Now, McLean did not take any blood. McLean did not do the Edinburgh scale, but that would be something that you would be interested in, right, as to whether or not anyone else gave her the Edinburgh depression scale.
Let me clarify one thing. McLean did draw blood. They did do testing. There was no testing for levels of drugs. Just
okay.
Let me clarify that. So that's
fine.
Okay.
So they took a CBC or maybe a blood count evaluation, but it had nothing to do with what was on board, as they say, as far as tricyclics, antipsychotics, SSRIs, anything, right?
They check for substances of abuse, but nothing else.
Well, there were no substances of abuse in her blood, were there?
No.
about the tricyclics, the antipsychotics, the SSRIs, the benzodiazepines, the Z drugs that they call some of their categories. They didn't test for that, did they?
Those are not tested on a regular basis.
How about on her basis?
I don't know why I would have tested for those. What would have been the indication?
How about if she presents, and the history that she's giving you is that she was on a number of drugs for that 3-month period or 3.5-month period? Would it be of interest to you as to what was on board in her blood?
Medications have different half-lives. So if she had taken something, it would depend on what the half-life was. If it was a day, it would be out of her system. We would not be able to catch it at that time. It would depend on what she'd been taking and, what was in her bloodstream at that point.
So the admission note that was noted in the medical records would be on page 64 of the medical records that you were presented by the district attorney.
I don't remember what page it's on, but
that's understandable.
Thank you.
Sure, no problem.
We're about done with this. We'll go read that article.
Exhibit 79, page 63. And that would be the record from McLean Hospital, is that right?
Yes.
Okay. Can you tell me what this means when it says clinical summary?
That's the social workers note.
Okay.
Can you, Dr.
Taking TRT with Max Miller.
Sorry. That's the social worker's note?
Correct.
And that's what the district attorney was questioning you on when she referred you to symptomology?
It was this a conversation with Patrick? I'm not sure I don't recall.
Told you I was going to be taking TRT in my nightstand.
Okay.
Clinical summary. It says the case.
Do you think I had the strength to break our daughter's clavicle?
Like on Grey's Anatomy, you have rounds and
Getting lit tonight.
rooms and that type of thing? No. What does it mean when it says in rounds?
It's when we meet in the morning, the social worker, the psychiatrist, the nurse, and the charge nurse, the utilization reviewer.
Okay. So that's why it says on page 63, discussed in rounds, SW and PIC met with Lindsay as part of the intake interview, right?
Yes.
Okay. Presenting problem, then it says HX, that's history, right? Mm-hmm. And psychosocial HX history was discussed, correct?
Yes.
At that point, she stated that she was hoping to be home by next weekend for her daughter's birthday, right? Mm-hmm. And that then she relates her history as far as having a third baby on May 26th. That would be Callan, right?
Yes.
The youngest baby. And she then told you all that 12 weeks after she delivered, the baby wasn't taking the bottle. It was around the time that she was supposed to go back to work. Husband also went back to work, and she was experiencing a lot of, and then someone puts in quotes, situational anxiety. Is that correct?
That's what it states.
All right. So as a result, is that coming from her, or that word situational anxiety, was that her words because it's in quotes, or was that you guys put that in there?
I didn't write that note.
Okay. But you factored that in your investigation, right?
I read it.
Okay. And as a result of this, she subsequently saw a psychiatrist that prescribed her Zoloft, right?
Yes.
And that would be Dr. Tufts, right?
Yes.
And 1 week after prescribing that, it says after 1 week of taking it, that she developed insomnia, correct?
Yes.
Okay. So that's an indication of a reaction that the patient had to the medication.
Activation.
Being the SSRIs, Zoloft, right?
It could be a side effect, yes.
Okay. And the psychiatrist told her to stop taking Zoloft, right?
That's what it states.
And do you know from your investigation and your evaluation of Lindsay Clancy, when the doctor told her to stop taking Zoloft? It was like, you can guess, it was like a week later, a couple of days later.
It would be, if I don't recall off the top of my head, but if that information was available, it would be in my note.
Do you know, can you find your note in here? I just don't know how to navigate that. Would it help you if you had a break or a little recess just to look at this?
No, I can find it right now.
Mr. Redding, that's probably not a bad idea. We've been sitting here, kind of missed that morning recess. So we're going to take that at this point, just a short morning recess to let all of you kind of stretch your legs a little bit, and then we'll come right back. Okay?
All right. Sure.
Yeah, he kind of gave her down the road. All right, this is the article. That's the Lindsay McLean updates right now. I'm sure we'll cover some more. I am fully off the bandwagon of like, he drugged her and he killed the kids, but convinced her she did it. And then he gave her fake stab wounds and slid her out the window. I'm over that. She's already testifying like she remembers these things, the things she stated to the kids, go be with God. She does claim that she was in a, out of her mind at the time. Like it was a out of body experience. She was commanded to do it, blah, blah. And I think she needs help, but I'm not on the conspiracy train anymore. Let's find this article. Sorry, just a second. This is from the New York Times. How the reflecting pool came to mirror Trump's Washington. A hospitality manager of the Trump organization traveled to Las Vegas to find a solution to problems at a national landmark. This is the untold story of the fallout. In January, the World of Concrete trade show drew 47,000 people to Las Vegas Convention Center. One of them was the manager of the Trump Organization Golf Club in New Jersey, who had come seeking help with an enormous, unfamiliar task. The manager, David Schutzenhofer, wanted ideas for how to fix the leaking, algae-ridden Lincoln Memorial reflecting pool in Washington. Several vendors told him they knew just the guy to call, Rodney Jarboe, the president of the Missouri-based company Creative Polymers. Mr. Jarboe had worked on a bridge at another federal landmark, the Gateway Arch in St. Louis. In an interview, Mr. Jarboe said he first spoke in March with Mr. Schutzenhofer, who made clear that the work would be rushed. President Trump, Mr. Jarboe said he was told, wanted the renovation project done. They declared it a national emergency, done in time for the country's 250th birthday on July 4th. For this thing to be done in that time frame that was required, we almost had to contract and start manufacturing by the first week of April, Mr. Jarboe said. So it was a very tight deadline to make a decision. The initial conversation about the reflecting pool, which have not previously been reported, kicked off an ad hoc plan by the Trump administration that involved coating the pool with a sheet of blue polyurea, which the president promised would make it beautiful. Within months, though, the pool was drained and ugly, the butt of jokes and memes. Damn, look at it just coming up, dude. Everywhere they painted this on Wednesday, painted this on Thursday, boom, gone. Many of the details of the saga are reported in this article for the first time. They show that the pool, which is supposed to reflect the Lincoln Memorial and Washington Monument, became a striking reflection instead of the second Trump administration's willingness to skirt laws, expend millions of dollars, ignore facts, and punish truth tellers in service of the president's demands to put his mark on the Capitol. The Interior Department, led by Doug Burgum, handed out a no bid contracts and squelched doubts about the costs and risk. An employee from Mr. Trump's private business life, Mr. Schutzenhofer, played an off-the-books role in government decisions. A top federal housing official, Bill Pulte, brought Mr. Trump memes that encouraged him to keep going. And when Mr. Trump sought to blame the project's failure on shadowy vandals, Jeanine Pirro, the U.S. attorney in Washington, backed him up by charging members of the public with crimes only to have the cases fall apart. Then, in place of accountability, there were falsehoods on top of falsehoods, part of Mr. Trump's longtime strategy of not admitting mistakes and treating concessions of error as a sign of weakness. To understand how he could have easily just been like that he could have blamed the vendor. You know, that vendor fucking sucked. They lied to us. They told us they could do this and they couldn't, and here we are. To understand how the reflecting pool repairs veered off course, the New York Times reviewed dozens of internal government documents, including confidential reports raising concerns about the project's cost and workmanship, and spoke to more than 20 people familiar with the project. Taylor Rogers, a White House spokeswoman, did not answer a list of email questions, but in a statement said, for years, the reflecting pool sat neglected, plagued with algae, and leaking millions of gallons of water. Fixing it was common sense. It's another example of President Trump restoring our nation's capital for the American people. But it's drained, it's empty, and it's fucked. The Interior Department has also defended its handling of the project, saying that it followed the law and used expedited process to meet a tight deadline. Again, they tried to declare a national emergency because July 4th was coming up. I was watching some of the Destiny video earlier that you if it's the same one you posted earlier. The Interior meet a tight deadline. President Donald J. Trump is an expert builder who fixed the reflecting pool permanently before deranged people vandalized it, Katie Martin, a department spokeswoman, said in a statement. A novel solution. At the start of Mr. Trump's second term, the reflecting pool had two long-standing problems. It leaked tens of millions of gallons every year, and it turned green, especially in the summer, as algae thrived in the stagnant, shallow water. But neither Mr. Trump's first administration or the Biden administration had treated these issues as a crisis. They made plans to fix it, but never carried them out. That changed last fall. The day before Thanksgiving, Mr. Trump suggested on social media that Park Service could overhaul the reflecting pool after workers finished the routine cleaning. To lead that effort, Mr. Trump tapped Schutzenhofer, who had run the President's Club in Bedminster, New Jersey since 2006 and had a background in hospitality but no formal training in engineering or architecture. That's his pool guy, Schutzenhofer. Another Israeli agent. After attending the World of Concrete, Mr. Schutzenhofer set on a plan to cut the pool's concrete slabs with polyurea liner, Mr. Jarbo said. Though the Park Service had not previously contemplated such a plan, it later described the liner in the contract documents as seamless, monolithic, waterproof, antimicrobial, and anti-algae system. But there was a problem of Mr. Trump's making. The president's steep tariffs on resins from China and other countries had limited the available polyurea coatings. Tariffs were reducing the amount of materials that could come into the U.S. to make this stuff, said Mr. Jarbo. To address this problem, Creative Polymers partnered with Rhino Linings, a California-based company that made large quantities of polyurea coating in its factory in Texas. Rhino was also attractive because it made the coating in a shade called American Flag Blue, and the patriotically named hue delighted Mr. Trump. In turn, a sales manager at Rhino called Atlantic Industrial Coatings, a Virginia-based company that had never won a government contract, and enlisted its help with applying this coating, according to a statement on the company's website. But more simply, documents and interviews established how a first-time contractor was paid millions of dollars to apply a novel solution designed by a golf club manager to a national park. See how this is all falling apart before it even started? Like, never been a contractor before, never worked on anything like this before, never even thought of this. It's a brand new solution. No one's ever tried it anywhere to do this type of thing. And a golf club manager from New Jersey is the mastermind behind it. It's like asking the museum guard to restore a painting in the Mets, said Charles Birnbaum, the president of the Cultural Landscape Foundation, a nonprofit that has sued unsuccessfully to stop the work. And you know, it's Washington, D.C. They have people, okay, that companies that specifically deal with monuments. That's all they do. I'm sure some of them are fountains and hold water and do other things, but that's all they do, right? They specialize in this. Couldn't be fast enough, couldn't be done enough, and Trump's fucking guy from New Jersey doesn't know them. Neither Rhino Linings nor Mr. Schutzenhofer answered questions about their roles in setting up the reflecting pool repairs or in choosing Atlantic for the application. Mr. Schutzenhofer also communicated in January and February with Green Water Services, an Ohio-based company owned by Trump's donors investment firm, about installing water treatment equipment called nanobubblers to kill algae, according to the emails. Now, nanobubblers do work. They're just, it's ozone, basically. It's tiny little ozone bubbles. Usually you'd inject ozone into the water. It'd float to the top. If it touches anything organic, it oxidizes it. Nanobubbles makes bubbles so small that they don't like to rise to the top. Instead, they just kind of drift in the water, and anytime they touch anything organic, they use up their energy, and boom, it's gone, okay? Nanobubblers do work, but it is a newer technology. Federal law, investment firm about to install water treatment equipment called nanobubblers to kill algae, according to emails reviewed by the Times. Federal law required the project to face reviews from nonpartisan career employees to ensure that taxpayer money was not wasted and national icons were not damaged. The Interior Department swept those hurdles aside. It was a no-bid contract for Atlantic. Even though multiple companies had expressed interest in bidding, it issued another no-bid contract to Greenwater, even though other firms could have supplied these nanobubblers. It bypassed consultations with preservationists and other experts, even though a career employee said the project was significant enough to require it. And it approved Atlantic's request to be paid 20% profit margin. So no matter what they spent, they were guaranteed to make 20% profit. They couldn't lose money. They couldn't fuck up. If everything went wrong and sideways and they were going to go bankrupt, they still made 20% profit. Even though a Parks Service procurement employee found that the number inflated and excessive, the contractor got it all it asked for, plus more than $1 million on top of that, for a total of $14.7 million. In each case, the Interior Department cited the fast approaching deadline as the reason to block any scrutiny. It was a neat act of bureaucratic jujitsu because the government started the project so late it declared that no one else could further delay it by asking questions. Again, courts have upheld many times you cannot declare it a contention for national emergency just because you got a deadline coming. Right? A national emergency would be like, hey, we're all going to fucking die somehow, or people are going to suffer, or whatever. Otherwise, the department said the pool might not be in good shape by Independence Day. Internal documents, the department called this possible outcome mission failure. On April 23rd, Mr. Trump introduced Mr. Schutzenhofer's plan to the public with an elaborate story. In this telling, Mr. Trump said he had found the contractor himself. What we're going to do is I'm going to call all three of these people that have worked for me in the past doing swimming pools, he said in the Oval Office. He described how he had solicited offers from vendors to the Trump organization before picking one that had worked on his golf course and club in Northern Virginia. In fact, Atlantic, the main contractor, had never worked there, nor at any other Trump property, and the president later said he did not know the company. Perhaps more important, Mr. Trump seemed to not realize that the 2,000-foot-long reflecting pool might not operate like a recreational swimming pool. The 100-year liner. Soon after Atlantic began applying the blue coating to the reflecting pool, problems began to appear. Government documents obtained by the Times show that the firm's first efforts to plug the leaky gaps between the pool's concrete slabs failed. Blisters and small holes appeared in the blue lining. Mr. Trump continued to defend the project. He was encouraged by Mr. Pulte, a bulldog for the president who oversees the low-profile Federal Housing Finance Agency and who seized on Mr. Trump's fixation with the reflecting pool, sharing images of how it had decayed under past presidents. Mr. Pulte did not comment to the Times. This is the guy that kept bringing in memes saying they're saying do it more. The liberals hate it. Keep going. The president loved the images and posted a flurry of them on his his social media site. He wanted to fix what his predecessors had not. The renovation was declared finished in early June. This is highly sophisticated material, industrial strength that could last for 100 years, Mr. Trump wrote on social media on June 5th. It began peeling within the week. According to a recent court filing, Atlantic has declined to comment beyond saying that the damage affected a very small part of the liner. Making matters worse, the algae returned with a vengeance, turning the large portions of the pool bright green. One reason, the nanobubblers had been removed. When the Lincoln Memorial hosted the promotional event for the UFC bouts at the White House, another pet project of the president's, Mr. Trump responded by falsely claiming that vandals armed with a box cutter or a knife of some kind had cut a 300-foot gash in the coating. He added that people also threw a little fertilizer in the water, though the government never provided evidence to support this dubious explanation for the algae. The Park Service had reported an incident of vandalism at the pool to the police, but it involved cuts in a 20-foot section of gray caulking around the rim. An Interior Department spokeswoman later said that the cuts of the caulking actually totaled 350 feet, but that was not the kind of damage that Mr. Trump alleged. Long man-made gashes in the blue lining. Mr. Burgum, a billionaire former North Dakota governor, pushed the narrative about vandals damaging the blue lining publicly, but also privately to Mr. Trump, according to the White House officials who were granted anonymity because they were not authorized to speak about internal matters. It fit in neatly with Mr. Trump's view that Washington was overrun with crime. Mrs. Martin, the Interior Department spokeswoman, declined to answer questions about the damage to the liner, but said in an email that Secretary Burgum never misled the president and was very clear in all of his comments on the pool. These might not have been the most consequential misrepresentation the administration has made, but in a way, they were some of the boldest. The proof was not in some secret file, but on the National Mall where anyone could look at it, and they did. And the videos of the peeling blue liner circulated online. The gap between reality and Trump administration's account grew obvious. Late-night comedians told jokes, bartenders whipped up reflecting pool cocktails with matcha for algae and blue fruit roll-ups standing in for the liner. A local activist, Nadine Sealer, began patrolling the mall with a sign that said Team Algae. Then the administration began to arrest people. Sophie Dennis Gibby, a 49-year-old veterinarian, was walking alongside the pool on June 20th enjoying a rare afternoon off. She said she stopped at a section where there was more lining visible. The pool had peeled down to bare concrete and spotted a free-floating piece of lining about the size of her palm. Worried that an animal would eat it, she reached in to remove it. She's a veterinarian. Then, an officer wearing a vest that identified himself as Deputy U.S. Marshal approached her and asked if she had put her hand in the water. She said yes. He said, "Now I'm going to have to arrest you." Miss Dennison, Gabby recalled. She thought that she was being stopped for littering and tried to explain, "I took it out. I didn't put it in." She was charged with a misdemeanor count of destruction of property, which carried a possible penalty of up to 6 months in jail. As a result of the charge, she had to pay $6,000 in legal fees and worried about the impact of her business and veterinary license. She struggled with what to tell her school-age daughter. Miss Dennison Gibby, a naturalized citizen who came to the United States from Britain 22 years ago, was aghast when she saw a video of Mr. Trump celebrating her arrest. The most powerful person in the world sitting there, very pleased that there have been arrests over vandalizing of the reflecting pool, one of which was me. At least 7 people were charged with vandalizing the pool. The most serious charge was filed against David Hearn, a former U.S. Olympian who was arrested on June 19th after he allegedly yanked up a piece of the liner, 2 foot square. He was indicted on a felony charge of destroying federal property with more than $1,000. He faced up to 10 years in jail if convicted. Ms. Pirro, the U.S. attorney in Washington, announced Mr. Hearn's indictment at a fiery news conference, saying she was in a fight against unchecked vandalism and civil disorder. A remarkable filing. The new charges meant the reflecting pool messes had moved from the realm of political to the courtroom, where Mr. Trump's success has been less assured. In a court hearing that had been scheduled for this week, Mr. Hearn's lawyer planned to show that Park Service employees knew that the pool had been badly damaged before Mr. Hearn had even reached into the water. Ahead of that showdown, Ms. Pirro reversed course. In a remarkable court filing on Friday evening, Ms. Pirro wrote that the Interior Department had misled her prosecutors about the extent to which vandals had caused the pool's problems. Instead, she wrote, the damage was a result of a botched installation. The filing provided a far more detailed accounting of the pool's problems than the Interior Department ever had, saying the coating application became rushed and flawed as workers raced to make up for weather days. Ms. Pirro moved to dismiss the cases against Mr. Hearn, Ms. Dennis Gibbsy, and at least 2 others. On Thursday, a federal judge granted prosecutors' request to dismiss the case against Mr. Hearn. But there was a consequence for such a public denouncement of Mr. Trump's project. The president seethed at Ms. Pirro, a longtime friend who had left a cushy job at Fox News to fulfill the president's promise to clean up the city. Mr. Trump slammed her publicly, telling reporters that she was folding like an umbrella and choking. On Tuesday, Mr. Trump brought Mr. Pirro and Mr. Burgum together for a meeting at the Oval Office, alongside with Susie Wiles, the chief of staff, and David Warrington, the White House counsel. Ms. Pirro, raising her voice, confronted Mr. Burgum and accused him of misleading the president to protect himself and his department. Ms. Burgum did his best to defend himself, but spoke less than the loquacious Ms. Pirro. Ms. Pirro left the White House later that evening with her job still safe, at least for the moment. Mr. Trump told reporters this week that he had not decided whether he would fire her. But then, reflecting, pool was in a sorry state. By then, it was fenced off in late June ahead of the 250th anniversary, exactly the mission failure that the administration had wanted to prevent. The reflecting pool was then drained so it could be repaired again. Atlantic said in a statement that it would honor its warranty. Then, instead of a giant mirror, visitors look out Lincoln Memorial and saw a dry expanse of American flag blue covered in dead algae with torn pieces that waved in the wind. There you go. Visitors of the reflecting pool peek through holes and over the fence. It's a fucking joke anymore, dude. The whole country's turning into a fucking joke under Trump. I got an investment opportunity for you guys. You want to see it? I know here we're all big fans of data centers. What if I told you NVIDIA would come put a data center on the side of your fucking house? Check this out.
NVIDIA will pay you $25,000 to put an AI data center in your backyard. And it sounds crazy, but this is what it looks like. NVIDIA teamed up with a startup called Span to build these boxes that almost look like giant AC units. But inside, they're packed with NVIDIA GPUs and Dell servers. You can put one outside your house, on your patio, or even in the corner of your property. And it essentially turns your house into a mini AI data center. The system uses electricity to run AI computing. And in exchange for hosting one, you can get benefits like free electricity, free internet, and even some shares of NVIDIA, adding up to around $25,000 in total value. So you're essentially getting paid to let NVIDIA use a small piece of your property for AI computing. Would you put one of these at your house for $25 grand? NVIDIA will pay you $25,000 to put an AI data center in your backyard. And it sounds crazy, but this is what it looks like.
It's actually not true. It's not like open to, this is kind of like a hot video. It's not like open to, public enrollment. It's more like they're partnering with some home builders in certain areas where there's like new construction going on, and this would be packaged with some of those houses if you wanted that option kind of deal. Might as well. Remember how I told you I've been fighting with my local Facebook page about these goddamn license plate readers, and that they're like, well, if you're not committing a crime, blah, blah, blah. Did you guys see where they fucking chased down? Hold on. The flock caused them to chase down a car and box it in and all kinds of shit. And it was the wrong people.
Brookfield police with guns drawn pull over a car they say was flagged by flock cameras in connection to a homicide out of Milwaukee. Well, turns out this was all some sort of mishap with the flock camera systems. In fact, Brookfield police say they called Milwaukee police, and MPD said they no longer needed the car or the people inside, so officers let them go. But, you know, this has really become a point of contention, flock cameras as a whole, as more reports of misuse by law enforcement across the country arise.
more and more and more and more misuse. Now, these license plate readers that were only supposed to take a picture, a short video clip, blah, 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 license plate readers is all they're supposed to be. And that's all they were when they signed up. They're pushing a new update to where it's just going to be a live camera. Not only is it going to do its license plate reading AI, the categorization of the car and the passengers and any marks and the color and the how many fucking people and what it's hauling, but now they're going to be live cameras as well. They're pushing an update to it.
We're going to turn on video for every single flock LPR in the country today. That means that every existing LPR for every one of our customers will become a video camera too.
So this is incredibly powerful because you're saying that the entire network of flock LPRs, which is by far the largest LPR network in the country, is about to become video enabled.
That's exactly right, Josh. And here's the best.
So they can just pull at any time and just watch a live view, watch recorded views, watch whatever. It wasn't supposed to be this, but they're like, hey, we're giving you something for free. You're getting more access, and it's just an update.
Flock customers don't have to do a thing or pay a thing. This will be a no-cost software upgrade that will push over the cloud. We're going to turn on video for every single flock LPR.
So that should be good. Here is the Doge video I was referencing earlier.
Remember Doge, Elon Musk's Department of Government Efficiency? And remember that wall of receipts claiming over $215 billion in taxpayer savings? Well, you just had a new nonpartisan government audit.
It said $1,300 and some per taxpayer was saved.
And it turns out that those receipts are mostly just made up math. Right? According to this damning new report from the Government Accountability Office, Doge's math was, quote, incorrect or lacked supporting evidence. So you essentially have the government's own watchdog being like, this was just BS. Right? Because the math was not just a little off. According to the report, auditors could not verify 96% of the savings that Doge claimed from cutting federal grants.
Doge reported terminated grants, 13,553. Doge reported savings in billions, 47 billion. GAO calculations, 3 different formulas resulted in the same estimated. There was only 2,334, and they saved 1.89 billion. For a total discrepancy of, I don't know, $11,046 billion.
And actually, one of the biggest reasons for this is because Doge refused to show how it even calculated its numbers. And in some cases, it was especially egregious. For example, you had Doge taking credit for saving $1.7 billion by ending a massive Pentagon IT contract. But you see, there's a massive issue there because it never actually ended. That contract just stayed active. There was zero money that was cut, but they still counted that $1.7 billion on their scoreboard. Also, another 2,500 contracts totaling $27 billion were listed as terminated, but never actually canceled. And on top of that, you had Doge taking credit for over 100 federal office leases that were already being phased out before Doge even existed. And while you still have its supporters arguing that Doge brought much needed attention to federal spending, you had the GAO bluntly concluding that the wall of receipts was so full of bad data that it's useless to policymakers and actively damages public trust. Especially because while Doge didn't cut as much spending as they claimed, other departments definitely did. Except now for a lot of people, it's harder to remember which is which and who to blame. But you then also have to ask yourself, is that a feature and not a bug for the Trump administration? Remember Doge, Elon Musk's Department of Government Efficiency? And remember that wall of receipts claiming over $215 billion in taxpayer savings? Well, you just had a new nonpartisan government audit drop, and it turns out
that's awesome. And then one of my new favorite channels you guys should check out before we go, this one's actually pretty funny, is called Christian Theater. They take these crazy Christian people that are claiming stuff, and then they put them into little fucking skits. Check this out.
So this lady who's always had the fleshly desire, like she's always had a desire to speak in tongues, wanted it so bad she accepted a demonic tongue.
So this is the actual Christian up here, claimant, making a claim, and then they're acting it out down here. It's April of Joy is the account name.
So this lady who's always had the fleshly desire, like she's always had a desire to speak in tongues, wanted it so bad she accepted a demonic tongue. She wanted it so bad that she was holding on and literally saying, don't take it from me. Foaming at the mouth, just nastiness just coming out of her mouth. I looked at her and I said, listen, this is a demonic tongue. If you want the heavenly tongues, if you want the tongues from the Lord, you're going to have to let me cast this out. And she literally looked right at me and was in agreement with my words. And we cast that thing out. She came up and guess what she was speaking? Heavenly tongues. So this
heavenly tongue. God, these are funny.
There is now a preacher man going from town to town and telling pastors that we love that they are hypocrites and whitewashed tombs. He looks Middle Eastern. He's definitely not from this country, and I don't believe English is his first language. He gave a sermon to 5,000 people and fed every single one of those 5,000 people. And all that's gonna do is teach those people to want to hand out some kind of leftist agenda. And he's got 12 men that just hang around. None of them are married and no children. What kind of Christian family value is that teaching? He said, "Blessed are the poor," and that it is nearly impossible for a rich man to enter the kingdom of God. That sounds like woke Marxist crap to me. And
Get this hippie out of here.
he's telling people that we need to be loving our neighbor, and not just any neighbor. All our neighbors. That's why I'm writing this new book called Toxic Neighborly Love. Not to mention he's healing people, providing free health care. Who's paying for that? Who does he think he is to say to welcome the immigrant? Has he seen the people coming across those borders? Apparently, he told one of those men that had to follow him around that he should lay down their weapons. You can come take my weapon out of my cold, dead hands. I have to save the children because this man in a dress is calling the children unto him. They're just buying whatever he says, and suddenly they're not voting Republican anymore. There is now a preacher man.
Jesus.
Things I saw certain religious people post on Facebook. Why open your legs when you can open the Bible? I only busted open for Jesus. As much as I love Jesus with my whole heart, I will never disrespect him by eating here again. She quoted things she lost praying to God regularly. I lost my pride, I lost my arrogance, and her head, apparently. Strongest atheist, weakest Christian. Much of the world has forgotten about God, but I've got a feeling he's about to remind us all just who he is. If you lay 4 trans flags together and rotate each through 90 degrees, look what you get. Wonder if they thought this one through. They said Noah was crazy, then the rains came and all the fact checkers drowned. As they should. Practicing my prison photos for when preaching the true gospel of Jesus becomes illegal. Thanks for sharing your opinion, but you have pronouns in your bio. I mean, no disrespect, but if you call yourself a Christian woman and you present yourself like this, you're sending mixed messages. Fear not, for I am with you. Things I saw certain
Hey there, Mr. Jumbo.
We have the last meeting, everything goes great. We go back to our Airbnb.
This is a good one. This is a good one.
We have the last meeting, everything goes great. We go back to our Airbnb. I lay down, I'm thinking, hey, victory. We took out this warlock, you know, for the meeting. The meeting's great.
So the claim is that she was at this Christian meeting and a warlock infiltrated it and they had to ban him out of there.
I'm starting to go to sleep. I'm worshiping, and all of a sudden, he comes sliding in from the side, and he's now in the bed next to me. And he goes like this. He taps the bed and basically said to me, "You have mad skills. You need to get in bed with me." Wow. He tried to recruit me. Now I'm thinking, how did you find me? We have the last meeting. Everything goes great. We go back to our Airbnb. I lay down. I'm thinking, hey.
Excuse me, are you April LaJoy?
No, I'm April Ahoy.
Arr! Excuse me.
We're not taking the mark of the beast, and if you don't take the mark of the beast, that means we can't buy food. I found this plant. Well, how would a peanut plant end up in my yard? The most common occurrence is when a bird flies over your yard, they poop it out. And then I was like, you know what? We're going to be just fine. Because God sent birds over my yard to poop seeds. And I'm going to grow peanuts. And that was one bird. Can you imagine what the Lord could do? He could send a whole flock.
Day 1060 into the tribulation.
I have not taken it, and I hope you haven't either. But unfortunately, I do think I overestimated the amount of birds that God would be sending to poop plants into my yard. Yeah. Haven't been able to live off of that in a way that I thought. Maybe I misread that message. But it's okay. Gonna be fine. Oh, there's a bird. All right, let me go see if there's a seed in there.
And I'm gonna grow peanuts. We're not taking the mark of the...
If you grew up evangelical like me, you've probably seen a graphic like this. It's supposed to be the biblical order of the family. Christ has ultimate authority, and then the husband, and then the wife, and then the children. It has been weaponized to keep women powerless in their marriages. So for funsies, I flipped it and put the wife ahead of the husband. And I decided with my post...
Women, the best way to love your husband is to lead him. Men, the best way to love your wife is to submit to her. God has a design for men in Christ, men and women, and it's time we stand up to these radical masculinists.
In all my comments, I would only say things that I've seen Christian men say, just gender swapped.
My over 1,000 comments were full of angry men. Let's read them. Didn't know Satan had a Threads account. Nice try, bud. April, you did not get any of that from the Bible. That is Jezebel's way and Satan her guides. This woman is a demon, pure and simple. This heresy and doctrine of demons, may you be accursed. Buzz off, Jezzy. You bitches worship the devil. Name your God openly. His name is Satan. Another Jezebel with a bad attitude. I pray you find Jesus. Men do not submit to whores. Single much? LOL. Men lead, women follow. What is this? Satanic nonsense. Spoken like a true Jezebel, I pray you will fulfill your role as God designed one day. What in the Antichrist is this? I saw a testimony where someone who had died witnessed a large amount of women in hell for a certain reason, and this post is that reason. Enjoy jumping in front.
I'll look it up. I haven't
Why
seen
do a
it.
lot of women think the provider and protector role is some sort of glamorous Hollywood-style character? Come on, boys. Let's not cook dinner and complain about things. Typical feminist, though, leads to not knowing how umbrellas work. Well, you'd be surprised to learn a man came up with this. Because of course he did. If you grew up evangelical...
Welcome back to Christians Say the Darndest Things, where we...
There was a really good one about the homosexual gay men. This one. Watch this one.
If you're sitting here and claiming to be a stronger man and wearing the gear, and you are not...
So this guy basically says, oh, we got a bunch of alphas in here. You guys claim to be alphas. You walk around in your UFC and your tap out and your alpha male shirts. If you're not donating your tithes of 10% of this church, God sees you just as those gay sex men. That's exactly what he says.
Tithing to God through this church, and you're some alpha male that likes to look down on all those gay sex men, just know that God views that man and you as one and the same.
Enjoy. Next. Hi, Alpha Male. Welcome to Conservative Evangelical Heaven. Let me just check you out real quick before you go in. It looks like you always voted Republican. Excellent. And you boycotted the Barbie movie. Right on. Yeah. And looks here. Oh, yep. Really hated the immigrants. Go ICE. Of course. Yeah. Looks like you're good to go. Oh, wait. Hold on. Looks like you only tithed 8% of your income instead of the full 10% to that one church. Okay, so? So yeah, unfortunately you're gonna have to go over there. With the gay sex men? Yeah, you see, God views you and them the same. What?
Gay sex men corner.
Like, experiment a little before we, go down. Knock yourself out. Next! All right.
If you're sitting here and claiming to be a stronger man and wearing the gear, and you are not tithing to God through this church, and you're some alpha male that likes to look down on all those...
Wow.
So a few days ago, I released a new workout line for Christian women so that we can fully stay covered and protect our husbands from stumbling into lust at the gym. And while most of you love it, some of you have been complaining that it's just not practical and too difficult to work out in. So I'm going to demonstrate to you all today how easy it is. One thing I love about my stumble-proof attire is that you can wear your slutty clothes underneath it. Now, batteries are included with each outfit, and I just love how easy it is to put on.
Oh yeah, finally Christian workout clothes. This is what I've been waiting on.
Just zip up and you're ready to go. Well, almost ready. During inflation time, I like to say a little prayer and thank God for my husband and children and just remind myself why I'm doing this. But once inflated, there's really nothing you can't do.
Got to keep those righteous men with their eyes where they're supposed to be. Don't be putting it out there if you don't want people looking.
Watch out for sharp objects, and ideally you want to find a gym that has wide doorways. And God has given me a vision that one day, all of the gymnasts in the Olympics are going to be wearing these. And just think about it. We'll be able to protect all men's eyes globally.
Yeah, it's almost like there's a joke or satire or something meant there. But yeah, that would be the solution. Gym, t-shirt, and shorts.
You might be saying, well, Sister Cindy, I don't have a golden statue that I worship. It doesn't have to be a statue to be an idol. Anything that you think about more than God, anything that you want more than you want to be spending time with God, that's an idol, and you need to repent of it. So we're going to hand out sheets of paper here in a little bit, and you're going to write down what your idol is. You're going to lay it at the altar, and we're going to ask God to forgive us for these idols and try to stop thinking about them, okay?
Look at this exercise.
We're going to practice our end of the week performance when the parents all come in so we can perform for them. So Todd, if you want to cue up that track, honestly, some of you girls need to write Todd down as your idol. At this age, you shouldn't be having crushes because you should be dating Jesus. Todd, yeah, play the track, please.
He's controversial.
One thing is true. Imperfect people, a perfect God. All right, come on. I'm standing with the chosen one, Donald Trump. Ain't no stopping what the Lord's begun. Yeah. You might be saying, well,
tired of having nakedness shoved in my face every time I went to the gym. Walking around with my eyes on the floor because culture has said that wearing little to no clothing is an acceptable way to go and train your body. I shouldn't have to fight.
You shouldn't be looking at what the fuck? Who the fuck are you looking at, dude?
For my image and for my purity and to guard my eyes and to honor the Lord and to honor my wife.
Are we still talking about going to the gym?
While at the same time trying to take care of my body. So I've quit 4 gyms.
Oh, okay, we are.
And I haven't found one that I can go to where I feel like I can have the best of both worlds. So I'm building one, building the first Christian men formation facility in the country. It's called Youth Group for Men.
That is objectively a terrible name. Youth Group for Men. Also, I find it really telling that his initial complaint was about how people dress, but he's not making a gym with a strict dress code. He's making a gym for men only, no women. Because it doesn't matter what women wear, men like him will objectify those women. Remind me, did Jesus say if your eye causes you to lust to go out and start your own gym? Or did he say to gouge it out because he recognized that it was a you problem?
Tired of having nakedness shoved in my face every time.
Sounds about right. All right, guys, I'm out. Thank you, guys. There's an update on the Lindsay Clancy case. Appreciate it. Hope you enjoyed it. I'm fully out of the conspiracy camp. She knows, she remembers, she talks about it. I do think there was probably I hope she does well with her medical malpractice. If nothing else, to bring attention to it. And we'll see everybody tomorrow. Have a good night. Talk to you later. Love you. See you. Bye. Oh, support the show. I'm broke, so that'll help. See you guys. And there was a donation that came in the other night. I didn't get to thank somebody. Somebody donated over $100 maybe 3 or 4 nights ago, and I forgot to thank them for it. It was after the show was over.
The fork and balls to call out the people on this planet by name and tell them exactly who they are and tell them the rest of the world who they are. You don't have the fork and balls. You don't have the balls.
Okay, Scott.
Here we go, I think I started some shit. This a month, it's about to get lit. Get the place in the best, you know that stage is set. You better buckle up, cause you ain't seen none yet. Here we go, I think I started some shit. This a month, it's about to get lit. Get the place in the best, you know that stage is set. You better buckle up, cause you ain't seen none yet.
And they say that I'm a lunatic. Well, listen, bitch, I came equipped with a quick wit and a 6th sense for the stupid shit.
Where my true believer?
Y'all need Jesus.
Praise the Lord, head to the extreme.
All these false fucking prophets who profit off of gossip. Worshipping drums, cocking, begging for a throat deposit. Swinging fucking meat hammers like fool in a thong. He's strapped to the shaft, eating his chest like he's King Kong. Starving for attention, I'ma make your gut burst. I'll be your huckleberry, I can quench that thirst. Baby eating lizard people, alien sex. What's next? Trump in a dress, fucking Flynn on his desk. A retard in a vest, climbing up 5G towers. Cause you told him if he did, he'd get fucking superpowers.
Here we go, I think I started some shit. Piss them off, it's about to get lit. Get the place in the best, you know that stage is set. You better buckle up, cause you ain't seen none yet. Here we go, I think I started some shit. Piss them off, it's about to get lit. Get the place in the best, you know that stage is set. You better buckle up, cause you ain't seen none yet.
I used to find clues too when I was high on shrooms. I found myself a tunnel that led to Jason Q's bedroom. Open his closet, I found some of his meat rockets. I strapped it to my shoes and then I flew through the roof. I found myself in orbit, strapped to an F-16. High on amphetamine, with Trump in between. Put on a light coat of baby oil and saluted the troops. He tapped me on the shoulder and said, "This is gonna be it." Whoa, wait. Stop. What? I'll get my files. Wait, what are you doing? Stop. Hold on. Fucking stop. Dude, come on. Seriously. With arms and alcohol. Give me a... Oh, my God. Damn it. Here we go. I think I started some shit. Piss them off. It's about to get lit. Get the place in the best. You know that stage is set. You better buckle up, cause you ain't seen none yet. Here we go. I think I started some shit. Piss them off. It's about to get lit. Get the place in the best. You know that stage is set. You better buckle up, cause you ain't seen none yet. Round 3.
Good night, guys.
Goes Nino. We say it isn't so. Got